Chapter 59. Master Chef Liao's expression was fascinating. He was a little shocked, but at the same time venting his anger. He seemed like he wanted to say something, but after some thought, he swallowed his words and changed it to a question. Lin Jin, where did this chicken of yours come from? Goldie was indeed a chicken with quite a personality. Back when he followed Lin Jin from Everlasting Town to Maple City, Lin Jin let him roam freely. He didn't care about him at all and let him roam around freely. After all, chickens were like dogs. Once they recognized a home, they wouldn't get lost. Based on his appearance, there was nothing special about Goldie. Lin Jin was the only one who could tell that Goldie's bloodline was extremely impressive. Golden Crow bloodline? Upon hearing Lin Jin's explanation, Master Chef Liao was shocked. Although he was a chef, he was knowledgeable, so he had heard of the legendary Golden Crow bloodline. It was the bloodline of the sun bird during the ancient era of immortals. In ancient times, the blazing sun in the sky was a manifestation of the Golden Crow. In some immortal scriptures, the Golden Crow was revered as the divine sun bird. From this, one could see how powerful the Golden Crow bloodline was. Liao Gu's gaze toward Lin Jin had changed. This kid just randomly brought a chicken over and it actually had the Golden Crow bloodline. It was no wonder he could catch that vegetable worm. If he had known, he would have asked Lin Jin to bring it over earlier. Suddenly, Lin Jin remembered something. He walked over and looked at the spot where Goldie had pecked the vegetable worm to pieces. He reached out to wipe the remaining juice on the ground. In an instant, there was a commotion in the Museum of Deadly Beasts. Emerald bloodworm, rank 1, rare species. It was true. Lin Jin took a closer look at the emerald bloodworm and felt a tinge of regret. If he knew this worm was so rare, he would have snatched it from Goldie's mouth. The emerald bloodworm had a hidden bloodline that could melt gold and refine jade. It also had extraordinary potential. Most importantly, this worm was an extremely important medicinal ingredient that could only be found by chance. However, it was too late for regrets now. Since Goldie had already eaten it, there was no point in saying anything. Just then, Lin Jin turned to look at Goldie, who was sunbathing in the vegetable field, and immediately noticed something. Goldie's body seemed to be emitting heat, and it was getting stronger. Lin Jin's eyes lit up. Goldie was a rank 2 right from the start and was an extremely powerful rare species. Lin Jin had never paid much attention to him, but now, Goldie was showing signs of evolution. Lin Jin immediately stepped forward. As he got closer, he could already feel a wave of heat assaulting him. Reaching out to touch Goldie, Lin Jin confirmed his speculation. Moreover, if one took a closer look, one of Big Yellow's advancement methods was to devour rare beasts of the same attribute, which had a certain chance of triggering an advancement. Of course, just having signs of evolution didn't necessarily mean that it would happen. But if Lin Jin could lend a hand now, the situation would be different. Without hesitation, Lin Jin immediately said, "Han Dong, Xiao Yun, help me buy some medicinal ingredients at once. Hurry." As he spoke, Lin Jin took out a pen and paper and quickly scribbled down a prescription. He then instructed the 2 servants to get the ingredients and return as soon as possible. "Master Chef Liao, hurry up and pour away all the water here. Don't leave a single drop of water in the tank. Zhao Ying, go help him." Lin Jin didn't have the time to explain. Goldie was definitely lucky to be showing signs of evolution, so Lin Jin had to grab hold of this opportunity. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so easy to evolve next time. Liao Gu could tell that the rooster was about to evolve, so he didn't hesitate and poured the water in the tank with Zhao Ying. "Xiao Hua, keep an eye on Goldie. Don't let him drink any water and don't let him leave this yard," Lin Jin shouted at Xiao Hua. Once a pet beast reached rank 3, not only would its strength increase exponentially, but it would also become telepathically connected to its owner. Xiao Hua already knew what Lin Jin was thinking, so he immediately unleashed his might and went forward to guard Goldie. When Lin Jin looked at Goldie again, he noticed that his body was emitting heat. It was as if the lid of a steamer had been opened. It was obvious that Goldie had no idea what was going on. He was feeling a little dizzy, and the scorching heat from the inside out was making him feel uncomfortable. Unbearably hot. The emerald bloodworm he had just eaten was now in full effect. The aura of extreme yang made Goldie feel as if his body was on fire. He wanted to drink water. He desperately wanted to drink water. He immediately flapped his wings in search of a water source. But just as he took a step forward, he was forced back by Xiaohua. Goldie was immediately displeased. The flames on his body surged and his feathers stood on end. His comb was a fiery red as he flapped his wings furiously, looking ready to fight. Xiaohua wasn't doing this for nothing. Goldie was ferocious, but Xiaohua's pet beast was a rank higher than Goldie's. Now that his body had grown larger and his body was engulfed in flames, Xiaohua growled and bared his fangs to suppress Goldie. Now, the wolf and the chicken were facing off. Both of them were fire attribute pet beasts. As the blazing sun collided, the yard immediately became scorching hot. The vegetables in the vegetable field were the first to suffer as they were instantly burned to death. The soil was scorched dry. Lin Jin and the others took a few steps back to avoid the scorching heat. As the heat on Goldie's body grew stronger, the thirstier he became. However, Xiaohua kept a close eye on him. No matter how Goldie tried to break free, Xiaohua would stop him. The two pet beasts confronted each other, neither willing to give in. Lin Jin was thankful that Xiaohua was a rank 3 pet beast, or he wouldn't be able to suppress Goldie. While Goldie was usually a loner like a rooster, when he was truly enraged, most rank 2 pet beasts were no match for him. If Lin Jin couldn't stop Goldie now and allowed him to drink the water, he could forget about his evolution. Goldie's appearance of evolution this time was a coincidence. It wasn't a perfect evolution, but it wasn't far from it. The main reason was because he had eaten the emerald bloodworm. Not only did the worm match his attributes, but more importantly, it could trigger the trace of Golden Crow's bloodline in Goldie's body. In other words, Goldie's evolution this time wasn't due to the emerald bloodworm but the power of his bloodline. The Golden Crow's bloodline was so powerful that even a tiny bit of it was more than enough for Goldie to evolve. The most important thing was to trigger that tiny bit of bloodline power. This process would be excruciating for Goldie, but it couldn't be helped. If he wanted to evolve, he had to endure it. If he drank or touched water, all his efforts would go to waste. "Goldie, I'm doing this for your own good," Lin Jin said. By now, Goldie and Xiaohua were fighting fiercely. Goldie's entire comb had turned into a ball of flame. His claws had enlarged and became razor-sharp, enveloped in heat. As he flapped his wings, a scorching wind could be vaguely felt. By the looks of it, once Goldie evolved to rank 3, a flap of his wings could stir up a fiery gust of wind. Time passed. Han Dong and Lu Xiaoyun returned with their medicinal ingredient. Without another word, Lin Jin took them into the house and started brewing the medicine. Time was of the essence. Goldie grew stronger as the battle progressed while Xiaohua still had the upper hand. However, the gap between them was slowly closing. After all, Goldie was only a rank 2 pet beast at the moment. Chapter 60. Soon, Lin Jin came out with a bowl of concoction. The concoction was thick and had a strong medicinal smell. Outside, Master Chef Liao's yard had been ravaged by the two beasts. However, Master Chef Liao didn't care as he focused on watching the two beasts fight. Not only him, but Zhao Ying, Lu Xiaoyun, and Han Dong were also dumbfounded. Their pet beasts were cowering obediently at the back, not daring to approach. To these pet beasts, these two in the yard were bosses they couldn't afford to offend. "It's about time." Lin Jin held the concoction while observing Goldie's condition. Then, he placed the bowl in front of him and called for Xiaohua to return. Xiaohua immediately jumped back. Goldie was visibly enraged as he flapped his wings, wanting to give chase. Seeing this, Lin Jin immediately cast a spell to unleash Xiaohua's full strength. Only then did Xiaohua unleash his rank 3 pet beast strength. His body expanded until he was one size larger than a bull. His fur melded with the flames as if they were part of his fur. Under the threat of a beast king, Goldie finally stopped his pursuit. Or perhaps he had noticed the concoction on the ground. Dying of thirst, Goldie immediately gulped down the concoction. To Goldie, as long as it was water, everything was fine. Soon, Goldie finished half of the concoction. This concoction was concocted according to the Museum of Deadly Beasts prescription, so its effects were obvious. The effect was immediate. Goldie let out a strange cry as his body expanded and a lot of his fur fell off. He continued to squawk as his body continued to grow, leaving a pile of feathers on the ground. Goldie now looked like a chicken with its feathers plucked. His body continued to grow. Finally, when he was almost as tall as a human, Goldie's body stopped growing. At this moment, Goldie's aura was almost on par with Xiaohua's. If it weren't for the fact that he was hairless, he might look even more intimidating. All of a sudden, a flame emerged from Big Yellow's body, then a shocking scene appeared. Like a painter's brush, the flames began to draw the outline of feathers on Big Huang's body. Piece by piece, feather by feather. In just a short while, the originally bald Big Huang was covered in flaming feathers, and its comb was like a flame. With a long howl, everyone, including pet beasts, except for Xiaohua and Lin Jin, took a step back. The pangolin and red fox even curled into a ball, shivering. Third order. Zhao Ying, Lu Xiaoyun, and Han Dong's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. As apprentice beast appraisers, they had studied diligently for many years, but they had never witnessed a rank 2 to 3 evolution process with their own eyes. Today they actually saw it. Isn't this just an ordinary rooster? When they first saw it, they didn't think that the rooster was anything special. Han Dong even thought that the rooster would be served on the table soon. How did he suddenly advance? Moreover, he was already at the 3rd order. They couldn't figure it out and were left in shock. Lin Jin was surprised as well. Goldie didn't have a blood contract and was an ownerless pet beast. Under such circumstances, evolution was even more difficult. But this time, Goldie only managed to awaken the Golden Crow's bloodline by chance by eating the emerald bloodworm. Lin Jin had also used the right method to guide and add fuel to the fire. At rank 3, not only could a pet beast change its body size, but it would also become more adept at using elemental powers. Its intelligence would also improve. Goldie had always been smarter than most pet beasts. After this evolution, he naturally knew who the biggest contributor was. He called out to Lin Jin and flapped his wings. The wind was oppressive. Then, he clawed at the ground with his claws. The stone slabs on the ground were cut open by his sharp claws, as if he had been slashed by a red-hot sword, leaving behind scorching marks. Then, he shrunk down to the size of an ordinary rooster, and went back to basking in the sun, as if what happened earlier had nothing to do with him. After a long while, Lu Xiaoyun said, "This rooster sure has a personality." It wasn't the first time Lin Jin found out about Goldie's personality. To him, Goldie's evolution was a good thing. Although Goldie wasn't his pet beast, the chicken liked him quite a bit and had been following him around all this while. Due to this sudden incident, Liao Gu's yard was completely destroyed. The master chef didn't complain at all. In his words, being able to witness such a rare sight with his own eyes was worth it. After the initial shock, Zhao Ying, Lu Xiaoyun, and Han Dong became even more respectful toward Lin Jin. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun had suspected that Lin Jin's pet beast, Xiaohua, had reached rank 3, but they never confirmed it. But this time it was confirmed. Xiaohua really was a rank 3 pet beast. And now it wasn't just Xiaohua. Even Lin Jin's rooster at home had reached rank 3. Looking at their own pet beasts, they could only feel the difference between them. Especially Han Dong. Han Dong's pet beast was an armored boar. This type of pet beast was quite rare. It was a mutated species of wild boar. Due to the tough keratin on its back and legs, it looked like it was wearing a suit of armor, hence its name. His armored pig was only grade 1, so Han Dong had no idea how to advance it. He had been doing odd jobs in the logistics department, so he had a good relationship with Dong He. He once asked Dong He to ask Elder Nangong about it. It was said that Elder Nangong's beast appraising skills were above even Chief Wang Ji's. For this matter, Han Dong offered Dong He a lot of benefits, but after waiting for many days, he was told to change his pet beast. Even now, Han Dong could still remember the scene. Pet beasts like wild boars didn't have much potential to begin with. Although they had decent combat strength among rank 1 pet beasts, and could even take on a lion or tiger in a frenzy, what was the use if they couldn't evolve? But Han Dong would never give up on his armored boar. Not ever. 1 year ago, his armored boar was bitten by a venomous snake in an attempt to save him. Due to this accident, it was severely injured. Although its life was saved in the end, the poison in its body wasn't completely purged. Not only was its internal organs damaged, but it also cut off the possibility of evolution. Han Dong was a man of average birth and aptitude. He was cautious and submissive to others. He had to struggle his way up to become an apprentice beast appraiser. He could bend his back for the sake of life, and give up his dignity for the sake of his future, but he swore that he would never give up on his pet beast. Even if he had to spend the rest of his life in mediocrity and never make a name for himself. Because if it weren't for the little pig, he would be dead by now. Dong He came to him because he thought Han Dong was easy to control. Little did he know, Han Dong wasn't the kind of person they thought he was. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan's pet beasts were now rank 2. When Han Dong found out about this, he felt a glimmer of hope. Even an idiot would know that Lin Jin was the reason why Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan's pet beasts were able to evolve. Now that he witnessed the unbelievable sight of the rooster evolving, Han Dong couldn't hold it in anymore and kowtowed to Lin Jin. Master Lin, Han Dong has a request. Chapter 61. Han Dong suddenly kneeling down and kowtowing truly gave everyone a fright. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun were still unaware of Han Dong's identity as a spy, so Lin Jin had no intention of telling them. They stepped forward and said, Han Dong, if you have any trouble, just tell us. We're fellow students, so even if Master Lin can't help, we won't sit idly by. They clearly thought Han Dong was in trouble. But when Han Dong explained the reason, they finally realized what was going on. It was because of his pet beast. If it's about that, then there's even less to worry about. Master Lin might not be able to help with anything else, but as long as it's related to pet beasts, Master Lin will have a solution no matter what it is. The two ladies had seen Lin Jin's skills so many times in beast appraisal and treatment that they admired him even more. Lin Jin put on a straight face and said, "How many times have I told you? Don't be arrogant just because you have some tricks up your sleeve. Also, beast appraisal and treatment are never guaranteed." He looked like a teacher. However, Lin Jin added inwardly, "No one can appraise a beast with 100% success rate, but I'm an exception." Indeed, with the Museum of Deadly Beasts, Lin Jin's success rate was 100%. Lin Jin glanced at Han Dong. Although this man was all smiles to everyone, he still had his own pride. The fact that he was willing to kneel for his pet beast showed how much he valued his relationship. "Get up, Han Dong. Remember, a man's knees are made of gold. Kneel to the heavens and kneel to your parents. Other than them, no one else is worth kneeling to." After lecturing the man, Lin Jin reached out to touch Han Dong's pet beast. Han Dong shuddered at this. Based on this statement alone, even if appraiser Lin couldn't save his pet beast, he would still pledge his undying loyalty to appraiser Lin. Because no one had ever valued him so much, treating him as a person with dignity. Rank 1 pet beast, hardened horned boar. Earth attribute. Poisoned state. Damaged organs. Residual poison blocking the veins. There are 10 ways to treat it, namely, there are 7 types of advancement methods, which are. While Lin Jin was checking the pet beast's attributes in the museum, Han Dong was feeling anxious. He remembered clearly that not even Elder Nan could do anything about his pet beast. He didn't dare to ask, so he could only stand aside and watch anxiously. He was afraid to hear the word powerless. After all, his pet beast had been injured for more than a year now. Even Master Lin was helpless against such an old ailment. While his thoughts were running wild, Lin Jin stood up and said, "And here I was wondering how big of a deal it would be. It's just some internal injuries, residual toxins, and blockages of arteries. It's simple." Han Dong could not react in time. Lin Jin activated the power of his blood contract and mobilized his spirit energy. He took out his needles and pierced them into a dozen acupoints on the boar's body. The angle and strength were perfect. Then, he pointed at the wild boar's abdomen. With a howl, the wild boar spat out a mouthful of black blood. Han Dong was startled, but the wild boar that had spat out black blood was clearly more spirited. "All right." Lin Jin retrieved the needles as if he had just done something insignificant. "Is that all?" Han Dong could tell that Lin Jin seemed to be saying that his pet beast's chronic illness had been resolved. "Han Dong, you're also an apprentice beast appraiser. Tell me, how can I verify the effectiveness of a treatment in a situation like this?" Lin Jin wanted to test the man. Han Dong pondered for a moment before answering with a serious expression, "Master Lin, my pet beast has accumulated toxins in its body and damaged its internal organs. The most troublesome part is the venomous arteries. To verify the effectiveness of the treatment, you just have to activate the energy explosion spell." Admittedly, Han Dong's basic skills were quite solid. There were some basic spells to control pet beasts, and energy explosion was one of them. It was a low-level version of Berserk, and even apprentice beast appraisers could master it. Energy explosion could activate spirit energy to connect the acupoints on the pet beast's body, increasing its strength and explosiveness. However, Han Dong's pet beast couldn't use energy explosion due to its chronic illness in the past. Now, to verify the effectiveness of the treatment, energy explosion was the best way to do it. Lin Jin nodded. "Let's give it a try." Excited, Han Dong immediately took out a beast talisman and activated energy explosion. The beast talisman burned and turned into spirit energy that was injected into the wild boar's body. Immediately, a powerful aura erupted from the beast's body, stirring up dust and flapping its clothes. "It's really healed." Han Dong was now absolutely certain that appraiser Lin had cured his pet beast's chronic illness that had been plaguing him for more than a year with just a wave of his hand. Han Dong had expected this outcome. Now, he was even more certain that he would follow appraiser Lin from now on. Even if he had to do anything, he would be willing. "I wanted to help your pet beast evolve, but your pet beast has just recovered from its illness and its veins aren't stable yet. Forcing it to evolve would bring more harm than good, so let's wait for a few more days." Having said that, Lin Jin glanced at the messy yard and said apologetically, "We're guests at Master Chef Liao's place, and it's not appropriate to leave this place in such a state. Come, help me clean this up." "All right. Master Lin, we'll do it. Take a break." Han Dong and the other two immediately got to work, full of vigor. Han Dong, in particular, was bursting with energy. He was overjoyed today. Not only was he not chased out by Master Lin after confessing, but Master Lin had also treated his pet beast with extraordinary means. He would never be able to repay Lin Jin's kindness in this lifetime. Han Dong made up his mind. From now on, no matter what Master Lin ordered, he would carry it out. After helping Master Chef Liao tidy up the yard, Lin Jin and the others took their leave. Lin Jin had Zhao Ying and the others return to the association while he brought Goldie, Sapphire Turtle, and his pet beasts home. He had no choice. His consultation hall had been sealed, so even if he went back, He wouldn't have a place to stay, so he could only leave his pet beasts at home. Fortunately, his house had been renovated by several craftsmen, so it was almost done. When he returned, the roof would be sealed up, and after some tidying up, he would be able to move in. After paying the craftsman, Lin Jean finally had a place to stay. Goldie was now rank 3, but he was still arrogant. Lin Jean couldn't be bothered with him, as Goldie knew his limits and wouldn't cause any trouble. The sapphire turtle was placed in the yard so Xiao Hua could follow Lin Jean around. Although his consultation hall had been shut down, he still had to return to the association. After all, he was still a member. Moreover, Lin Jean planned to take the next Beast Appraiser Advancement exam, so he had to go back and register for it. Once he returned to the association, the people around him looked at him differently. The reason was simple. Getting his consultation hall shut down was too impactful for a Beast Appraiser. In Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association, there hadn't been a single case of this happening in the past few decades. Lin Jean was the first. Lin Jean couldn't be bothered with the finger-pointing and gossiping. Now that he was free and didn't have to sit in a consultation hall, he was free to go wherever he wanted as long as he stayed within the association. Lin Jean then led Xiao Hua straight to the association's management office. If he wanted to register for the Beast Appraiser Advancement exam, he had to pass through this place. The association's management office was known as the management office, but in reality, it was only responsible for reviewing the applications for the Apprentice Advancement exam and the official Beast Appraiser Advancement exam. Hence, no one would usually come here. With fewer people, it was quiet and peaceful. Unlike the bustling association in front of him, the management office not far away was quiet and peaceful. A small wooden tower was planted with trees, and there were 3 houses in the forest, forming a square. The courtyard was paved with green bricks, and it was clean and spotless. In the middle was an incense burner. The incense burner was 10 feet tall, and its smoke was like a bamboo pole. The wind could not disperse it, and it rose straight into the sky. Chapter 62. There were 3 elders in Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association. One of them was Elder Mo, who guarded the entrance to the geocentric fire vein, and his pet beast was a rank 3 fire lizard. Another was Nan Gongxian, who oversaw the association. The last one was Elder Du. The management office was his territory. Just like Elder Mo, Elder Du kept a low profile and rarely showed his face. He spent most of his time in the management office. Just how low profile was this Elder Du? In all his years in the Beast Appraisal Association, Lin Jean had only met Elder Du once. One could only imagine how low a profile the man was. Currently, Elder Du was sitting in the main hall, organizing some documents. The hall was also spotless. Lin Jean noticed that in a corner, a monkey was holding a broom and a rag, diligently sweeping and wiping the floor. This monkey was Elder Du's pet beast. Appraiser Lin Jean greets Elder Du. Upon entering, Lin Jean bowed respectfully. Elder Du turned to glance at him and nodded slightly. Is something the matter? I want to sign up for the Beast Appraiser's examination, Lin Jean said. Elder Du was stunned. Advancement examination? Lin Jean nodded. Elder Du smiled. Outsiders said that Elder Du was even more aloof than Elder Mo. To put it bluntly, he was unsociable. However, it was understandable. Elder Du was the oldest among the 3 elders. He had white hair and a white beard. Dressed in an elegant Taoist robe, he was tall and well-built. Even when he was bending his back, he was still much taller than the average person. Elder Du took out a piece of paper and handed it to Lin Jean. Fill up the form. The pen is over there. Take it yourself. Having said that, he continued organizing the books. Lin Jean thanked him and went over to fill up the form. After he was done, Lin Jean returned it to Elder Du respectfully. Elder Du took it and placed it on the table beside him. Lin Jin noticed that there was an application form on the table and Gao Jiang's name seemed to be written on it. Obviously, Gao Jiang planned to take the advancement examination too. Whether or not he could pass the examination was another matter. But he would always sign up for it. What if he passed? This was already a routine. Once he was done, Lin Jin planned to take his leave. It was then that Lin Jin realized that Xiaohua had somehow gotten into a fight with Elder Du's pet beast, the sweeping monkey. The two pet beasts glared at each other, refusing to give in to each other. It was as if they were staring at each other. The monkey sweeping the floor wasn't simple. At this moment, he was standing on both feet like a human. He glared at Xiaohua and let out a roar. The problem was that Xiaohua wasn't doing it for nothing. "Do you think I'm afraid of you glaring at me?" So he glared back. "If you growl, I'll growl too. If you're angry, I'm also angry." Two invisible auras surged, collided, and continuously escalated. Elder Du clearly noticed this as well. He was stunned for a moment before his gaze landed on Xiaohua with a grave expression. Monkey gripped the broom in his hand and took a step forward. He was like a towering mountain with an imposing aura. Xiaohua stood in opposition and similarly took a step forward while baring his teeth. He was like a surging volcano that was on the verge of erupting, and it was extremely terrifying. The two beasts' noses were almost touching. If they went any further, they would definitely fight. Xiaohua. Seeing that Elder Du had no intention of stopping them, Lin Jin had no choice but to speak up. He couldn't really let the two pet beasts fight, could he? Upon hearing Lin Jin's voice, Xiaohua immediately retracted his aura and retreated in a flash. However, his gaze remained fierce while the monkey looked as if he would beat Lin Jin to death if he kept staring. Lin Jin crouched down and patted Xiaohua on the head before getting up to bid farewell to Elder Du. After Lin Jin left, Elder Du glanced at the monkey and said, "The side hall hasn't been cleaned yet." The aggressive monkey immediately became listless. Lowering his head, he carried the broom and a rag to the side hall. Elder Du walked over and picked up the registration form that Lin Jin had filled out earlier. He mumbled to himself, "Interesting. Is he a good-for-nothing or a genius? I can finally look forward to this exam. Wang Ji, as chief, I can turn a blind eye to some things you don't do well, but there are some things I can't pretend I didn't see. If a genius beast appraiser gets buried because of this, I won't forgive you." As he spoke, Elder Du's aura was terrifying. The quick-witted monkey quickly ran to the side hall and began cleaning diligently. After registering, Lin Jin didn't have much else to do. He went to the garden to take a stroll. It was quite relaxing. When Wang Ji heard about Lin Jin strolling around out of boredom, the chief was enraged. "This Lin Jin. He's been delisted but he's still so ignorant. As an official beast appraiser, it's not good for him to be wandering around like this." Inside a large hall, Gao Jiang and a few high-ranking apprentices were conducting a consultation on a unique pet beast case. The one who spoke earlier was Gao Jiang. Due to the previous incident, he was very displeased with Lin Jin. Dong He, who was officially in charge of the consultation, was also participating in the consultation due to his brother-in-law, Elder Nangong. An idea came to his mind and he said, "Appraiser Gao is right. Lin Jin is an official beast appraiser of the association, so we can't just leave him be. I heard that the emergency hall has been lacking manpower. Why don't we let appraiser Lin help out?" At this, everyone's heart skipped a beat. They mused, "This fatty Dong He is truly ruthless." The association's emergency hall was the dirtiest, most tiring place in the association. It had the lowest status, and was mainly used for emergency cases or handling pet beasts belonging to the poor. Not only was it busy, it was also tiring. Not only was it tiring, it wasn't easy either. Usually, only new apprentices and apprentices without any foundation would be sent there. Those who were sent there would complain about how tired they were and would try their best to get help. Ever since the emergency hall was established, No official beast appraiser had ever gone there. This was an unspoken rule. Everyone knew that Dong He's suggestion was a blatant humiliation. A beast appraiser would have his hall shut down and even be assigned to the emergency hall to do the dirtiest and most tiring work with the apprentices who just arrived. Forget an official beast appraiser, even veteran apprentices like them wouldn't be willing to go there. However, this suggestion struck a chord in Wang Ji's heart. He thought it was a good suggestion and immediately decided to have the General Affairs Department inform Lin Jin to report to the Emergency Hall. At the Emergency Hall of Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association. In this place, it was a mess at any time and everyone was busy. Hey, have you heard? That appraiser Lin has been assigned to our place. Appraiser Lin? The Lin Jin who got into a beast appraisal accident? Who else could it be? You tell me, he's an official beast appraiser after all. How could he be bullied to this extent? If it were me, I'd defy my transfer order and never come here. Stop dreaming. You'll only amount to this for the rest of your life. The emergency hall is so busy every day that we don't even have the chance to further our studies. It's impossible for us to improve ourselves. A few apprentices took a break from their busy schedule and whispered to each other. Just then, Lin Jin stepped into the room. Chapter 63. After receiving the transfer order, Lin Jin came immediately without any delay. He knew a thing or two about the emergency hall. The environment here was dirty and messy. Appraising and treating beasts could make people faint from exhaustion. They were often scolded and even beaten up. Wang Ji and the others had evil intentions in bringing him here. But Lin Jin didn't really care. As long as he could appraise beasts. Previously, he was bored out of his mind. Moreover, the Museum of Deadly Beasts had to keep recording the number of pet beasts in order to receive subsequent reward. In the emergency hall, there was no lack of pet beasts. Looking at it this way, the emergency hall that everyone else avoided was like heaven to him. Since he had the Museum of Deadly Beasts, no matter what kind of beast or disease it was, he could find a cure in the museum. Appraiser Lin, our emergency hall doesn't have too many rules. Only those who are capable have the highest authority. Only those who are capable have the right to speak. Otherwise, you'll just be causing trouble. Even if you're an official beast appraiser, you still have to abide by the rules here, an experienced apprentice suddenly said. He wasn't purposely making things difficult for Lin Jin. Everyone in the emergency hall was in dire straits, so there was no need to make things difficult for Lin Jin. Moreover, things were too busy here so they couldn't afford to be scheming against each other. Everyone was here to help each other, and if something went wrong, everyone would have to bear the consequences. Of course, in a situation like this, what they hated the most was someone dragging them down. To them, Lin Jin had obviously been tricked by Chief Wang Ji, so he was purposely left in the emergency hall. They weren't afraid that Lin Jin didn't know anything. After all, he was an official beast appraiser. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. At the very least, he should be better than some apprentices, right? They were just afraid that Lin Jin wouldn't know his place and would randomly give pointers, put on airs and cause trouble. Hence, they had to be straightforward. Lin Jin could hear it, but he didn't mind. Since I'm here, of course I have to abide by the rules here. You make the arrangements, Lin Jin said casually. Seeing that Lin Jin was so easy to talk to, the apprentice was relieved. However, he didn't dare to go overboard. After all, Lin Jin was an official beast appraiser, so he couldn't possibly do menial work. Hence, he pointed to a row of tables in front of him and said, "Appraiser Lin, sit over there. Just treat the injured pet beast. If you're unsure, get someone else to help. If that doesn't work, our emergency hall won't be able to handle it. We can only transfer it to the official consultation hall and let them handle it." Lin Jin nodded and sat down obediently. Just as he sat down, a job came in. An apprentice hurriedly led a man carrying a pet beast into the hall and directed him to sit opposite Lin Jin. Appraiser, I had a beast duel with someone and lost. My pet beast is severely injured, please save its life. The man was drenched in sweat and his clothes were stained with blood. He then looked at the white ferret in his arms. There was a large gash on the pet beast's body and blood was gushing out, dyeing its white fur red. This was where the man's blood came from. Lin Jin immediately got up and reached out. A rank 1 pet beast, a sword-tail ferret. Heavily injured, blood loss, near death. The emergency treatment method is... Lin Jin did not expect to encounter such a challenging job on his first visit to the emergency hall. Strictly speaking, it was hard for this dying pet beast to survive after losing too much blood. To Lin Jin, this motionless pet beast was no different from being dead. However, since the Museum of Deadly Beasts said that it could be cured, then he would give it a try. There shouldn't be any problems. And so, without another word, Lin Jin began to work. Put it on the table. Who knows how to cast a hemostatic spell? Come over and help me. Give me a scalpel and some hemostatic powder. Hurry! Lin Jin said calmly, but his movements didn't slow down at all. In fact, everyone saw the heavily injured pet beast being carried in. Many of the apprentices gasped inwardly. Some of the younger apprentices panicked, while some of the more experienced apprentices shook their heads. To them, this pet beast was incurable. It was doomed. With such a large wound and excessive blood loss, it was motionless. Perhaps it was already dead. They were veterans in the emergency hall, and it was common for them to encounter situations like this. Usually, it was incurable and everyone was afraid of encountering such situations. Even if they couldn't save it, they couldn't not save it either. And if they failed, the pet beast's owner would surely curse them or even beat them up. Hence, they all retreated, afraid to take up the task. Seeing Lin Jin accept the request, they didn't think he could handle it. Forget Lin Jin, even if Appraiser Gao or Chief Wang Ji were here, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. This Appraiser Lin Sure is pitiful. Chief Wang Ji is targeting him. Not only did he have his consultation hall shut down, he was even demoted to the emergency hall. He's just arrived and he's already met with such a problem. If things get out of hand later, he'll probably have to bear the responsibility. Someone with ulterior motives might even cause a second accident. No one went over to help. Lin Jin took out a needle he carried with him and quickly pierced it into the pet beast's acupoints. Immediately, the blood flow lessened. Lin raised his head and looked around. Realizing everyone's concerns, he repeated what he had just said, but added another sentence at the end. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility. Finally, someone came over to help. Even if they didn't want to get involved in trouble, they had to do their duty since they were here. Moreover, Appraiser Lin had said that he would take responsibility if anything happened. I know how to cast a hemostatic spell, a young apprentice with a pale face said. Lin Jin instructed him to cast the spell immediately. Together with his acupuncture skills, they helped the pet beast stop the bleeding. At the same time, someone brought over a small knife and hemostasis powder. Even so, the others had no idea how to treat the pet beast. Only Lin Jin managed to treat the wound in an orderly manner. It was as if he never hesitated. Every step and movement he made was firm and confident. In an instant, the emergency hall fell silent. As the saying went, the layman enjoys the show while the connoisseur recognizes the artistry. The apprentices here had been appraising veterinary beasts in the emergency hall all year round. Their knowledge aside, at least in terms of basic skills, they were better than many higher-ranked apprentices. Deep down, they even looked down on those people. But now, Lin Jin's series of operations left them dumbfounded and in awe. Whether it was the hemostatic technique, the stitching technique, or the silver needles, it was a textbook demonstration. Some of them cautiously approached to observe Lin Jin up close. There were also those who couldn't understand Lin Jin's acupuncture skills and wanted to find out more. But by then, Lin Jin had finished treating the wound and stitched it up. However, the swordtail mink still showed no signs of waking up. It remained motionless. His treatment method is indeed impeccable. He's even more efficient than our best experts here. But the problem is, how do you save it? This pet beast has lost a lot of blood and is on the verge of death. No matter how well you treat the wound, it's useless if it can't come back to life. Someone sighed inwardly. Truth be told, they were already convinced by Lin Jin's performance, as expected of an official beast appraiser. The rumors saying that he wasn't skilled were obviously bullsh*t. And yet, he still couldn't save the mink. This had nothing to do with his skills. The only explanation was that the pet beast's injury was too severe. Does anyone have a wind thunderstone? Lin Jin suddenly asked. The group was stunned. Does anyone have a wind thunderstone? Let me borrow it. I'll return it to you after I'm done, Lin Jin added. I have one, but it's just a small piece. A female apprentice walked over and took off an earring from her ear. On the earring pendant, there was a yellow crystal the size of a grain of rice. Lin Jin took it and examined it. Great, thank you. Having said that, he took out a needle and pierced it into the swordtail mink's heart. Chapter 64. Everyone was shocked to see Lin Jin poking the needle into the swordtail mink. The swordtail mink's owner asked anxiously, "You? What are you doing?" The heart was a vital point. This was true for both humans and beasts. After being poked by a needle, even if the beast survived, it would surely die now. The swordtail mink's owner panicked and was about to rush forward when Xiaohua stopped him. Lin Jin didn't explain. He used the wind thunderstone, the size of a grain of rice, and activated it using the thunder guiding technique, recorded in the museum. In the next instant, the wind thunderstone surged with tiny yellow lightning bolt. The female apprentice who removed the earring gasped in surprise. Due to its small size, the wind thunderstone couldn't be used in medicine, nor was it worth it for pet beasts to absorb and activate spells. Instead, it was made into an earring. To her surprise, appraiser Lin was able to make the stone emit lightning bolts with just a simple trick. What trick was this? She wasn't the only one who couldn't tell what was going on. The wind thunderstone was a type of spirit stone and wasn't rare. Due to its luster, it was often made into accessories. Its main use was to enhance pet beasts, use it in medicine, and embed it into artifacts to enhance its wind-thunder attribute. However, no one had ever seen anyone who could directly use the wind-thunder stone to trigger lightning bolt. Lin Jin then placed the lightning stone on the needle. With just a touch, the motionless swordtail mink shuddered and woke up. Alright, it's not a big problem. Take it back and let it rest. Having said that, Lin Jin returned the earring to the female apprentice. Sorry, there's some blood on it. Wash it yourself. Both of Lin Jin's hands were covered in blood and so were his clothes. Yet, he remained calm as if what he had just done was insignificant. Unbeknownst to him, the crowd was already in awe. No one knew who started the applause, but soon, thunderous applause filled the hall. All the apprentices couldn't help but applaud. Their gazes were glowing as they looked at Lin Jin, especially the female apprentices who subconsciously gulped. They were impressed. They couldn't help but be impressed. This was supposed to be a dead end, but appraiser Lin managed to save it. His skills were simply miraculous. An official rank 1 beast appraiser is truly amazing. Our emergency hall has picked up a treasure this time. In just half an hour, the emergency hall's attitude toward Lin Jin had undergone an earth-shattering change. I'll rest for a while. You guys continue. Having said that, Lin Jin sat down. This time, no one had any objections. In the emergency hall, only the strong had the right to speak. Now that Lin Jin had displayed his authority, no one would dare to disobey him in the emergency hall from now on. Lin Jin, who was sitting beside them, wasn't really tired. He was just going through the museum's rewards. That's right, the museum had a new reward this time. This was because Lin Jin had saved more than 20 heavily injured pet beasts. Lin Jin had never counted the number of pet beasts he had saved. The reward was different from before. It wasn't the power to intimidate beasts, nor was it a cultivation technique for beasts. Instead, it was a set of spirit needle technique, pulse-seeking acupuncture technique. As a beast appraiser, the spirit needle technique might be used during pet beast appraisal and treatment. This was also a basic skill that was required to be learned in the beast appraiser's school. Of course, the same skill required different mastery levels. In short, it was a skill that required a long period of practice. The pulse-seeking acupuncture technique, rewarded by the museum, was clearly more powerful than the average spirit needle technique. There was no comparison at all. Just by using needles to seal off a pet beast's attributes, it could even be used to stimulate the pet beast to achieve an effect similar to berserk. This was already impressive enough. More importantly, this technique could be used to defend against enemies. In other words, it could be used to fight. At this point, Lin Jin couldn't help but recall a well-known figure from his previous world. Invincible East. Lin Jin shuddered at the name, feeling an inexplicable chill between his legs. However, to be honest, this pulse-seeking acupuncture technique was truly amazing. Lin Jin was unwittingly engrossed in it. When outsiders saw him, they thought he was too tired from treating pet beasts, so no one dared to disturb him. Not far away, Zhao Ying, Lu Xiaoyun, and Han Dong, who had just received word that Lin Jin had been sent to the emergency hall, hurried over. They were infuriated. Killing someone was but a small matter. For an official beast appraiser, having his consultation hall shut down was a great humiliation. Now, he had to be sent to the emergency hall on the same day. No one would be able to tolerate this kind of precaution. However, appraiser Lin didn't argue, nor did he try to explain himself. He simply carried out his duty. Lu Xiaoyun had wanted to cause a scene and argue with Wang Ji but was stopped by Zhao Ying and Han Dong. Zhao Ying and Han Dong were much calmer. After analyzing the situation, they concluded that it would be useless to cause a scene now. Instead, they would become a laughingstock. As appraiser Lin's apprentices, they couldn't afford to cause trouble now. Hence, the three of them agreed to come to the emergency hall to help out. When the emergency hall staff saw the three of them, they naturally wanted to question them. After learning that they were appraiser Lin's apprentices, they recounted the thrilling treatment earlier. Appraiser Lin's skills are superb and he has a noble character. We're all convinced. Let's not disturb appraiser Lin. He's tired, let him rest for a while. At this, Zhao Ying and the other two rolled up their sleeves and stayed at the emergency hall to help out. Since Lin Jin was their mentor, they would follow him wherever he went. Haha, let's see if that Lin Jin still has the face to stay in the association. On the other side, Dong He was in high spirits. After the consultation, he returned to his consultation hall. Although he wasn't as lucrative as when he was in the logistics department, his status was much higher than before. After all, he was now a licensed beast appraiser with his own consultation hall. In the Beast Appraisal Association, other than official beast appraisers, only a handful of apprentices could have their own consultation halls. Just like Jia Qian and Zhang He, who were ranked highly in the association. Consulting was undoubtedly the fastest way to increase one's qualifications. After all, without a certain level of qualifications, even if Lin Jin were to be fired in the future, Dong He wouldn't be able to take up the position. Sitting in his chair, Dong He looked at the exquisitely decorated consultation hall, feeling like everything was under his control. You don't say, consulting feels great. Dong He took a sip of tea, feeling a sense of accomplishment. Over the past 2 days, he had appraised and treated more than 10 beasts. As none of them were difficult, he was bursting with confidence. Just then, his assistant came in and said, "Appraiser Dong, there's an emergency outside. Appraiser Gao has too many people with him, so he arranged for you to be here." It's someone from Maple City's Chamber of Commerce. The meaning behind his last sentence was obvious. The other party was a backdoor entrant. Dong he was brimming with confidence now, so he waved his hand. Let him in. I'll take a look. Soon, a middle-aged man dressed in a brocade robe entered with 2 people carrying a stretcher. On the stretcher was a large iron crab. Chapter 65. The iron crab on the stretcher wasn't terminally ill, as it could still move. This is Mr. Zhang from Maple City's Chamber of Commerce, the assistant introduced. Appraiser Dong, thank you for your trouble. The middle-aged man saluted. Dong he got up and said, Mr. Zhang, you don't have to be so polite. I'll do my best. Walking over to observe the iron crab, Dong he's heart skipped a beat. The iron crab exuded a chilling aura. Touching it with his hand, he could feel a layer of frost forming on its shell. This case was no trivial matter. At least, Dong he had never seen it before. The cases he had encountered in the past were all minor illnesses that were easier to treat. But this one was more difficult. However, it was obvious that this was a case of cold air invading the body. Usually, pouring cold medicine into the crab to slowly drive the cold away was considered a conservative treatment. However, Dong he was eager to make a contribution. After all, he was still inexperienced. If he wanted to make a name for himself in a short period of time, he had to do what others couldn't. Before this, he wouldn't have thought of any other treatment methods. But coincidentally, Han Dong had told him about Lin Jin's method of treating the same illness. Coincidentally, Lin Jin had also diagnosed an iron crab with cold air invading its body. Even the heavens are on my side. Han Dong tried his best to recall the contents of the evaluation report. Lin Jin's method was novel and effective. He used a steamer to steam the iron crab over a high heat, using the steam to drive away the cold. Moreover, the contents of the evaluation report were clear and logical. Something about the intersection of water and fire and the compatibility of attribute. There were some things that Dong he still couldn't figure out. But that wasn't important. What was important was that after careful observation, this iron crab's illness was exactly the same as the one Lin Jin had diagnosed. Since that was the case, why not use that shocking treatment method as well? With immediate results and some publicity, his reputation would surely soar. At this thought, the fat on Dong he's face jiggled. However, he wasn't a fool. He had to make sure that this iron crab wasn't incurable due to the cold air invading its body. Hence, after a round of diagnosis, he confirmed it. However, he didn't notice that there was a crystal-clear bead in the mouth of the iron shell crab. Just when he was fiddling with the iron shell crab and arranging for people to start a fire to steam it, the bead fell out of the mouth of the iron shell crab. Boss Zhang of the Chamber of Commerce was dumbfounded when he saw Dong he calling for a human fire pot. Appraiser Dong he was afraid that the other party wouldn't ask. If he did, he would be able to speak eloquently and reveal the theory that the other party had plagiarized. Boss Zhang, there's something you don't understand. Come, let me explain to you. The problem is that the effects are too slow. However, the iron crab is of the yin attribute, so dispersing it with fire or assimilating it with the yin attribute will only harm it. Hence, while dispersing the cold, you must not harm its physical attribute. This is my unique method, which is to use a steamer to mix the water vapor with fire. This will restrain the extreme cold inside the iron crab's body, and the effects will be immediate. At most, I can return your pet beast back to you. Dong he was elated as he explained the theory he had heard. Your iron crab must have accidentally ingested an extremely cold substance. Since crabs are of the water attribute, they shouldn't be afraid of this, but if they overdo it, they will be harmed. You should know that cold energy can be dispelled with fire. The simplest solution is to use some yin herbs, but the effect is too slow. At most, I can return your pet beast to you. Dong he spoke and gestured as he explained the theory he had heard. Not to mention Boss Zhang, even his assistant was dumbfounded. He felt that Boss Zhang was very mysterious. He had his doubts, but seeing how confident Dong he was, he could only swallow his words. I'll be counting on you then, appraiser Dong. Once it's done, I'll be sure to reward you handsomely. Sure. Then, the group worked together to shove the struggling iron shell crab into the steamer. Heat it up, steam it. Dong, he said with a smile, brimming with confidence. The flames burned fiercely, and it didn't take long for the crab to catch its breath. At first, the lid made some noise, but as time went by, it went silent. The iron shell crab stopped struggling and stayed still. Dong, he felt something was off. Logically speaking, the iron shell crab should have lifted the lid and jumped out on its own. However, he felt like there wasn't enough time. Han Dong told him that Lin Jin had been steaming the crab for the time it took to brew a cup of tea, while he had only used less than half of it. Perhaps the heat wasn't sufficient yet. Everyone else was amazed. After all, they had never seen a method to treat pet beasts like this. It was both profound and novel. Another moment passed. Still nothing. This time, Dong he began to panic. More importantly, he caught a whiff of a fragrance. Symphony Restaurant, which he frequented often, had this fragrance. Speaking of Symphony Restaurant, it had been a while since Dong he had been there, and he was famished. The steamer still didn't move. Beads of sweat appeared on Dong he's forehead. Unable to hold it in any longer, he quickly got someone to remove the lid. In an instant, a strong aroma of steamed crab wafted out. The aroma only served to whet one's appetite. However, everyone's faces were ashen. Especially Boss Zhang of the Chamber of Commerce. His eyes widened as he stared at the steamed iron shell crab with a reddened shell. Before he could breathe, his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Dong he was dumbfounded. His assistant plucked up his courage and went over to take a look. He turned to Dong he and said, "Appraiser Dong, this crab is cooked." "Haha, Appraiser Dong, what good stuff are you secretly eating? It smells so good. Let me have a bite too." Zhang he came in with a smile. Today, Zhang he was in a good mood. Lin Jin's consultation hall was shut down in the morning, and he was sent to the emergency hall in the afternoon. His reputation was completely ruined, and he didn't even bother going to the emergency hall. For an official beast appraiser, what could be more humiliating than this? He heard that Dong he was the one who told Lin Jin to go to the emergency hall, so he came here to pull some strings. Before he even stepped through the door, he caught a whiff of the strong aroma of steamed crab. Thinking that Dong he was having a meal, he blurted out. In the end, he just happened to bump into the muzzle of a gun. No matter how stupid Dong he was, he knew that he had messed things up this time. He was originally furious, but after hearing Zhang He's words, he finally found an outlet to vent his anger. He went forward and gave Dong He a slap. "I'll King CKU. Why did you hit me?" Zhang He was dizzy from the slap. Dong He was tall and strong, so his slap was powerful. Zhang He wasn't a pushover either. As an apprentice under Chief Wang Ji, how could he allow himself to be slapped for no reason? He immediately retaliated. However, he wasn't as strong as Dong He, so he was pinned to the ground and beaten up. Of course, Lin Jin was oblivious to this farce. He was still immersed in the pulse-seeking technique, unable to extricate himself. Even though no matter how he looked at it, the needle technique was similar to Dongfang Bubi's divine sunflower needles, he could not deny how strong the needle technique was. When it came to defending against enemies, he could seal an acupressure point with one silver needle, and he could make a person unable to move. Not only could it treat pet beasts, it could also hurt people. Only an idiot wouldn't learn such a powerful technique. Although Lin Jin really wanted to learn Wandering Sword, the museum didn't reward him with sword skills, so he couldn't learn it. After registering the first form of the pulse-seeking technique, Sharp Needle, Lin Jin opened his eyes. It was getting dark outside. One could imagine how much time he had spent here. The emergency hall was still bustling with activity. Lin Jin turned around and saw Zhao Ying, Lu Xiaoyun, and Han Dong. Lin Jin immediately understood everything. These three stayed by his side when he was in trouble. Lin Jin wasn't wrong in his judgment. After getting up and stretching himself, Lin Jin joined them and got busy. With Lin Jin around, although the emergency hall was busy, everything was orderly and orderly. Everyone listened to Lin Jin's orders. Appraiser Lin only had to take a look at the patient for any difficult cases, and he would immediately make the right arrangements. Everyone here was an expert. To be able to do this, one had to have a solid foundation. Hence, everyone was convinced of Lin Jin's abilities. Just then, Lin Jin's nose twitched. "Who's steaming crab? It smells so good." Chapter 66. Dong He was beaten up. This news spread like wildfire. Even though Elder Nangong had stepped in immediately to seal off the news, many people still found out about it. "Have you heard? That Dong He has only been here for 2 days and he's already stirred up so much trouble that he steamed someone's pet beast. The news has spread like wildfire. All he had to do was add some soy sauce and vinegar and chop a few cloves of garlic. It smelled so good that half the association could smell it. I heard that when the pet beast's owner woke up, he immediately started fighting with Dong He. If it were me, I'd fight him to the death too." Dong He stood there with a swollen face. He didn't dare to sit down. His sister and brother-in-law sat across from him, their expressions as cold as ice. "Trash!" Nangong Xian cursed angrily. As an elder of the association, he was utterly humiliated. After all, he was the one who arranged for Dong He to be here officially. "Darling, now that things have come to this, there's no point in reprimanding him anymore. Let's think about how to deal with the aftermath." Dong Ke was furious as well. She didn't expect her younger brother to be so disappointing. Earlier, she had given Dong He a harsh slap. "I'm acquainted with Mr. Zhang of the Chamber of Commerce. I'll personally pick out a pet beast for him and help him form a blood pact. I believe he won't pursue this matter anymore. Now we should just try our best to minimize the impact." Having said that, Nangong Xian turned to Dong He and asked, "Using steamers? Where did you learn this method?" Dong He was terrified of his brother-in-law, so he shuddered in fear and quickly spilled the beans. "Lin Jin? It's him again." Nangong Xian frowned. "Darling, what's wrong?" Dong Ke noticed something amiss, so she asked softly. Nangong Xian's expression darkened. "I think Lin Jin set Dong He up. After all, steamers have never been a treatment method like this before." Although the medical theory in his evaluation report was adequate, there was a huge loophole. He had to make a complete diagnosis that the frigid energy in the pet beast's body had seeped deep into its internal organs. Otherwise, wouldn't steaming the pet beast in steamers be the same as cooking it? Dong Ke's eyes lit up. "That's right. Why didn't I think of that? He's just a rank 1 beast appraiser, so how could he be so sure that the frigid energy had seeped deep into its internal organs and meridians? Not to mention him, even I can't do it, so he must have done it on purpose to make you fall into a trap." Nangong Xian concluded, Dong He isn't entirely to blame for this. That Lin Jin is simply too cunning. At this, Dong He's face contorted in anger. "Very well, Lin Jin. You and I will never exist together." Nangong Xian turned to Dong Ke and said, "I'm afraid it will be difficult for Dong He to ascend the throne this time. After all, this matter has happened and it can't be covered up no matter what. But don't worry, there's still a long way to go. That's the only way. But are we just going to let that Lin Jin roam free?" Dong Ke's expression was icy. "Dream on." Nangong Xian was enraged. That Lin Jin's qualifications as a beast appraiser are revoked is a done deal. But he can still take the exam in the future. I want him to never have the chance to rise again. The association's evaluation will be held in 2 days. I will write a report listing Lin Jin's evil deeds and apply to headquarters for him to be blacklisted. Banned. To a beast appraiser, this was a fate worse than death. If it was just a revocation of his qualifications, he could take the exam again next year. But once the Beast Appraisal Association blacklisted someone, that person would never be able to make a comeback. Nightfall. The other consultation halls of the Beast Appraisal Association were closed for the night. Most of the staff had returned home, leaving only the emergency hall with someone on duty. This was a precaution so that, if there was an emergency at night, there would be someone to deal with it. This was also why the emergency hall was shunned by everyone. After all, no one would be willing to be on duty at night. But today, Lin Jin volunteered to be on duty. The reason was because his home wasn't ready yet. Instead of going home, he would rather stay at the emergency hall. At night, not many people came by, so the shift was relatively relaxing. Zhao-Ying, Xiaoyun, Han Dong, you guys can go back too. Lin Jin waved them off. The three of them were exhausted, so there was no need for them to keep him company. Zhao-Ying found an excuse to stay behind. After Lu Xiaoyun and Han Dong left, she leaned over and whispered, Master Lin, I have something I need your help with. What is it? Lin Jin asked out of concern, knowing that Zhao-Ying wasn't one to ask for help. Zhao-Ying said, I have a friend. She's feeling a little unwell and she wants Master Lin to take a look. If she's feeling unwell, she should go to a doctor at the clinic. Our Beast Appraisal Association only diagnoses pet beasts. Lin Jin was puzzled. Zhao-Ying wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, she whispered, she went to the clinic but the doctor said she's fine. But every night when she sleeps, she dreams of a large black snake. At first, it was outside the house, but every night it would get closer. Yesterday, she told me that the black snake in her dream had snuck into the house, and she was terrified. Nightmares? Lin Jin was intrigued. I thought so too at first, but she said it wasn't just a dream. The black snake in her dream said that it would marry her as a bride. Zhao Ying's cheeks were flushed. Lin Jin laughed. Even if it's true, she's the one who's going to marry you, not you. Why are you blushing? Zhao Ying was so angry that she wanted to leave. Only then did Lin Jin say in a serious tone, well, get her here. The black snake is considered a ferocious beast. Since it's getting dark, I'll take a look at her. Really? I'll get her here then. Zhao Ying smiled and turned to leave. Lin Jin waited in the emergency hall. He thought it would take a while, but soon, he heard footsteps coming from outside. She's here so soon? Lin Jin had planned to pee, but it seemed like he wouldn't make it in time. After tidying up his clothes, Lin Jin stood where he was. The footsteps approached and a person entered. Lin Jin glanced at her and mused, this friend of Zhao Ying's is quite good-looking. She's just a little cold and doesn't seem like the shy type. Since that's the case, she could have just come. Why did she have to wait for Zhao Ying to pass the message? The woman who came in was well-dressed and her hair accessories were well-groomed. She actually exuded a valiant aura. Zhao Ying was nowhere to be seen. She probably felt like she should have some privacy. Without thinking too much, Lin Jin said, it's okay, don't be shy. Let me take a look at you. The clinic takes your pulse, so let me do the same. He had the woman sit on a chair while Lin Jin sat across from her. Regardless of whether there was something wrong with her body, Lin Jin had to touch her first. If she was related to a pet beast or a ferocious beast, the museum would definitely react once he touched her. If there wasn't, then she was just a nightmare. Lin Jin could just comfort her and send her away. The woman was clearly stunned, but she didn't say anything. She simply placed her hand on the table, revealing her wrist. There was a hint of curiosity and playfulness in her eyes. Lin Jin glanced at it. Her wrist was fair and slender. Her body proportions were perfect. Without a second thought, Lin Jin touched it lightly with a single finger. In an instant, the Museum of Deadly Beasts stirred. There really is. Lin Jin wore a solemn expression. Looking at the results from the museum, Lin Jin saw a strange black fog in the shape of a beast. It's a bestial soul curse again, Lin Jin mumbled to himself. Chapter 67. This was the second bestial soul curse recorded in the Museum of Deadly Beasts. The first one was from the cross-dressing woman. Speaking of which, these bestial soul curses only liked beautiful women. Why else would they target women? The museum had a detailed introduction to bestial soul curses. Humans had souls, and so did wild beasts. Furthermore, it was similar to how he had concocted pills in the past. It wasn't strange to use beast souls as ingredient. However, some beast souls were special, and could be refined using magical techniques to form curses that could kill people without leaving a trace. Once they possessed a person, it would be impossible for them to escape from serious illnesses and disasters. Others might not be able to solve it, but Lin Jin didn't have that problem. Especially this one. The museum had provided him with a detailed and quick way to expel it. Catch it off guard, condense a fire spirit finger, and poke its Tianshu acupoint to break the bestial soul possession. Reading this, Lin Jin had an idea of what to do next. The spirit finger was a basic skill used to clear the meridians. It wouldn't be difficult to borrow Xiao Hua's firepower. The key was to catch it off guard. It's no big deal. Don't worry. Lin Jin got up and took a step forward. Then, he suddenly poked the Tianshu acupoint around the woman's abdomen. Success. The Museum of Deadly Beasts gave him a notification. But then, a slap came over. Fortunately, Lin Jin reacted quickly and dodged it. When he looked at the woman in front of him again, her face was already as cold as frost, and her killing intent was soaring. You lecher, you are indeed, as the rumors say, ignorant and incompetent, self-deprecating and shameless. The woman scolded. Lin Jin was infuriated. Don't you slander me. I helped you out of goodwill, but not only did you not thank me, you're accusing me instead. What kind of person are you? If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have bothered. The woman trembled in anger. You're full of nonsense. I must teach you a lesson today, and get rid of a scourge for Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association. You're the scourge. Lin Jin had never met someone like her. You came here of your own accord to treat your illness. Now that I've cured your illness, not only did you not thank me, you're even trying to slander me. What kind of person was this? The woman didn't waste any time. With a flick of her sleeve, a wasp flew out. With a spell, the wasp grew in size. This must be her pet beast. Just then, a voice came from outside. Master Lin, I'm back. Zhao Ying's voice. After a moment of hesitation, the woman in the hall harumphed coldly, put away her wasp, and turned to leave. She said that your qualifications as a beast appraiser have been revoked. Tan Lin was furious. As an inspector sent by Jade Dragon Kingdom's Beast Appraisal Headquarters, she didn't expect to encounter such a ridiculous incident during her secret investigation. It should be noted that the official beast appraiser's assessment was rigorous and serious. Similarly, if an official beast appraiser were to be disqualified due to misconduct or a grave mistake, one had to be extremely careful. That was why there was an inspector system. He wanted the headquarters to personally monitor and understand the situation. She was very responsible for this. Without informing Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association in advance, she arrived at Maple City 2 days in advance to conduct a covert investigation. Because she felt that this was the only way she could see the truth. Now she thought she saw the truth. This Lin Jin was just as their chief Wang Ji had described. In fact, he was even worse. It was their first time meeting him, yet he dared to touch her and spout nonsense. Forget the fact that he wasn't skilled enough. Even if he was, he shouldn't be allowed to stay in the Beast Appraisal Association any longer. What she said before she left wasn't a joke. As an inspector sent by headquarters, she had the right to revoke Lin Jin's beast appraiser qualification with immediate effect. She took out an ancient amulet and in a fit of rage, she wrote her decision on it. Then, with a spell, the amulet ignited and turned into a ray of light that shot into the sky. This was the Beast Appraisal Association's communication amulet. It could transmit messages over 10,000 miles and was extremely valuable. Once this order was sent back, Lin Jin's qualifications would be revoked by tomorrow morning at the latest. In a foul mood, she wanted to return immediately. But after some thought, she decided to head back to the inn. Father came to Maple City yesterday, and I happened to be here as well. Headquarters has a lot of work to do, and it's been months since I've seen Father. It wouldn't be right if I didn't pay him a visit, so I'll stay for another 2 days. I still want to watch the upcoming Beast Appraiser's assessment. Tan Lin took a deep breath and stopped thinking about those unhappy things. Inside the emergency hall, Zhao Ying brought a petite and shy girl with her. Master Lin, who was that? Why did she look so angry? Zhao Ying asked. Lin Jin was stunned. Isn't that your friend? Zhao Ying shook her head. Lin Jin noticed a shy girl standing next to Zhao Ying and immediately understood what was going on. F***CK. It was obvious that there was a misunderstanding earlier. Lin Jin assumed that the cold-looking woman was the friend Zhao Ying mentioned, so he decided to diagnose her. So that wasn't the case at all. It was no wonder she reacted that way. However, that person was indeed possessed by a bestial soul curse. At the end of the day, Lin Jin had saved her, but she still had such a bad temper. Not only did she have a bad temper, but she also knew how to brag. Revoking his Beast Appraiser's license sounded like it was the truth. Lin Jin simply brushed the matter aside. He couldn't be bothered to think about it any further. The girl Zhao Ying brought with her was called Lan Xiua. Lin Jin used taking her pulse as an excuse to touch her. This time, his expression turned serious. Zhao Ying's heart skipped a beat. She was one of Lin Jin's earliest apprentices, so she knew him well. Usually, Master Lin didn't have much to worry about and was always cheerful. Sometimes he would put on a serious face, and both she and Lu Xiaoyun knew that. However, if Master Lin felt that something serious was going on, his expression would change. Just like right now. For Master Lin to be so serious, it could be because of her friend. This naturally made Zhao Ying worried. Lan Xiua was her childhood playmate, and they shared a close relationship. Although they weren't sisters, they were as close as sisters. Master Lin, how is it? Zhao Ying asked with a trembling voice. Lan Xiua also had a nervous expression on her face. Lin Jin smiled. It's nothing much. Right, I'd like to visit your house. Would that be convenient? Sure enough. Zhao Ying's heart skipped a beat. It was already so late at night. If it wasn't an emergency, Master Lin wouldn't suggest visiting Lan Xiua's house. Especially when he had to be on duty at the emergency hall. Lan Xiua seemed to have noticed something and nodded in agreement. I'll get someone to take over my shift. Lin Jin stepped out. Once he was outside, his expression turned grim. Monster. This is the first time I'm recording one. Interesting. I have to go take a look no matter what. More importantly, if I don't go, this girl might not survive the night. Lin Jin mumbled to himself. Lin Jin found an apprentice on duty at the association, but the man was displeased. Enraged, Lin Jin reprimanded the apprentice, and it was only then that he came over to take Lin Jin's place. This matter was delayed for a while, so by the time the three arrived at Lan Xiua's house, it was already late at night. Chapter 68. Lan Xiua's house was very close to Zhao Ying's. They were only separated by an alley. Her parents were craftsmen in the city and they lived together. They were a little displeased by Lin Jin's sudden visit. After all, it was getting late. Moreover, they knew about the dream their daughter talked about, but they thought she was making a mountain out of a molehill. It was just a dream. Who wouldn't have nightmares about it? How could they take it seriously? Sigh, the child is still young and naive. Why are you two fooling around with her? Lan Xiao's father said as he opened the door. Lan Xiao was already shy to begin with. She lowered her head even more and clutched the corner of her shirt as if she had done something wrong. Zhao Ying was a little angry, but she didn't say a word. She comforted her like a big sister. Lin Jin smiled. It won't take long. Then, he pulled Lan Xiao's father aside and whispered a few words into his ear. The old man's attitude changed drastically as he saluted Lin Jin. I see. Do as you wish then. The child's mother and I will be in the other room. Just call us if you need anything. Having said that, he returned to his room cheerfully. Zhao Ying was dumbfounded. She was even more curious about what Lin Jin had said to Lan Xiao's father to make him change his attitude. After asking, Lin Jin answered, It's nothing. I just followed his train of thought. I told him that I thought it was just a dream and that I was just going through the motions. Everything would be fine after I untie the knot in your daughter's heart. This made him think that we were on the same side, so his attitude changed. Zhao Ying looked impressed as she mused that she had learned another trick. Meanwhile, Lan Xiao panicked. Appraiser Lin, that wasn't a dream. It was real. I know. Lin Jin's expression turned serious as he looked at Lan Xiao's room with a solemn expression. Something was clearly wrong with that room. Truth be told, Lin Jin had no idea what was wrong. He just had this feeling. He walked over and studied the room but couldn't find anything wrong. Come, let's talk inside. Lin Jin led the way. This room was Lan Xiao's bedroom. Lin Jin looked around and reached out to touch the wall. Zhao Ying and Lan Xiao watched from the side, not daring to ask. Zhao Ying, bring Xiao back to your house for a night, Lin Jin said. Zhao Ying was stunned. Master Lin, what about you? Me. Lin Jin smiled and sat down on a chair. I'll make do here for the night. Lin Jin said nothing else. He really couldn't say it. The trouble Zhao Ying's bestie was in was far more serious than they had imagined. This wasn't Lin Jin's warning, but the Museum of Deadly Beasts' warning. Of course, it was only a warning. It wasn't as if there was no solution. Moreover, Lin Jin wasn't a pushover. He had a way to deal with this. As for why he wanted to help, firstly, Zhao Ying had spoken. Secondly, Lin Jin was doing this for his own sake. And that was to have the Museum of Deadly Beasts record its first monster. Truth be told, Lin Jin was rubbing his palms together in anticipation. Zhao Ying was beautiful and intelligent, so she didn't ask any more questions. She said a few words to Lan Xiao and left with her. Now, only Lin Jin and Xiaohua were left in the house. After turning off the lights, Lin Jin sat on a chair and closed his eyes to rest while Xiaohua stayed by his side. Time passed and the night deepened. Most people were asleep by now. It was pitch black outside, but the moonlight was nice. There was a breeze, rustling the leaves on the trees. From the window, the shadows of the branches could be seen swaying. Inside the house, Lin Jin was sleeping soundly. With so many things to do today, he was exhausted. Just then, as if Xiaohua heard something, his ears perked up and he bared his fangs. Outside the window, a black shadow suddenly appeared. It was like a snake. Xiaohua immediately got up. Lin Jin opened his eyes as well. He was a light sleeper. He would wake up at the slightest movement. It's here. Lin Jin yawned. At the same time, the tightly shut door opened on its own and a large shadow peeked in. But instantly, the shadow seemed to have sensed something amiss and wanted to shrink back. Xiaohua, go! Lin Jin had been waiting for this moment for so long. He immediately ordered Xiaohua to pounce forward. As for Lin Jin, he slowly got up, stretched his limbs, and walked out. In the yard, Xiaohua was facing off against a large creature. That huge creature was a huge black snake as thick as a bucket. Black gas surged around its body, and the huge snake's head was upright. Its eyes were filled with confusion and anger. It looked different from the average beast. Xiaohua's aura wasn't weak. In fact, he could even overpower the creature. This made the black snake hesitate. A glint of intelligence flashed in its eyes as it opened its mouth and spat out a cloud of black mist before slithering out of the yard. With a sweep of Xiaohua's tail, a strong gust of wind blew and the black mist dispersed. Xiaohua immediately jumped out of the yard and gave chase. Lin Jin wasn't in a hurry. With Xiaohua around, he wasn't worried at all. Having a powerful pet beast gave him confidence. If he didn't have Xiaohua, or if Xiaohua wasn't a rank 3 pet beast, Lin Jin wouldn't have dared to get involved in this. He opened the door and closed it. Sensing their blood contract, he gave chase. After winding through many alleys, he arrived at a secluded area in Maple City. It was said that this place used to be an earth temple. Some time ago, it was destroyed by fire. Before it could be rebuilt, it had become a ruin. People rarely came here during the day, let alone at night. Sensing their blood contract, Xiaohua was here. Lin Jin sighed. If he had known this would happen, he would have brought Goldie here too. Having 2 rank 3 pet beasts would definitely be safer. However, it didn't matter. Xiaohua's strength had already reached an extremely terrifying level with the help of the Beast Energy Training Formula's first chapter and the Perfect Advancement. Before this, it was hard to find a worthy opponent. No one could force Xiaohua to go all out, except for Goldie who had evolved. Hence, Lin Jin wasn't worried. So what if it was a monster? As long as it couldn't surpass Xiaohua in rank, it would still have to kneel. The front hall of the dilapidated temple was in ruins. Entering it was no different from entering the Hall of Hell. The collapsed statue was pitch black and looked quite scary. Circling around it and entering the yard, Lin Jin could hear the sounds of fighting and the sparks on Xiaohua's body. Moving forward, Lin Jin saw Xiaohua, who had grown in size. Covered in flames, Xiaohua was entangled in a battle with a large black snake. They seemed to be in a stalemate. That black snake was quite impressive too. Not only was it covered in black energy, but it could also mobilize water spirit energy. Lin Jin was curious. Where did the water come from? Poking his head out, Lin Jin saw a well under a large tree. This well was obviously quite old. The water that the black serpent mobilized came from this well. Seeing that the black snake was evenly matched with Xiaohua, Lin Jin understood that this was the black snake's territory and it had the geographical advantage. He immediately invoked a spell to cast Berserk. Having a blood contract with a pet beast didn't just rely on the pet beast. Sometimes, the pet beast would need the blessing of the blood contract owner as well. Just like now. After using Berserk, Xiaohua's body grew even bigger. His aura of brutality was now at least 20% stronger than before. With a swipe of his claws, flames surged, sharp and unstoppable. Chapter 69. Unable to evade, the black snake's body was immediately lacerated. It was in excruciating pain. Perhaps knowing that it was no match for the snake, after spitting out a puff of black water, it slithered away and slipped into the well, vanishing without a trace. Needless to say, the bottom of the well was where the black snake was hiding. Lin Jin called out to Xiaohua, who was still in pursuit. Lin Jin wasn't afraid of fighting on the surface, but things were different in the well. There was water in the well. Not only would Xiaohua be immobilized if he went down, he would also be suppressed. Lin Jin wouldn't let his pet beast take the risk. Of course, the black snake's strength had exceeded Lin Jin's expectations. Just then, Lin Jin noticed some snake scales scattered on the ground. He walked over and picked one up. Inside the Museum of Deadly Beasts, black energy surged and a corresponding specimen appeared. It was a gigantic black snake. Rank 2 monster, black water anaconda. Monster, cannot form a blood pact. Possesses human-like intelligence. Status: heavily injured. Fire spirit burns body. Claw injury. Treatment method is: there are 3 evolution methods, namely, current recorded monster count, 1-4. Reading the information in the museum, Lin Jin was half happy and half worried. The only thing that made him happy was the reward for recording monsters. Once he recorded 4 monsters, the first reward would be unlocked. But there were even more things that made him unhappy. Firstly, this monster was able to go up against a rank 3 Xiaohua at rank 2. This was cheating. Why? If this monster advanced to rank 3, wouldn't it be able to suppress Xiaohua? Lin Jin immediately felt insecure. Also, why couldn't they form blood packs? Monsters were so powerful. It would be great if they could form blood packs with them. But what use would it be if they couldn't? Also, human-like intelligence. Didn't that mean all monsters were intelligent? Perhaps it was because they were too intelligent that they couldn't form blood pack. Lin Jin recalled the black snake's gaze earlier. Indeed, it had revealed its thoughts. Just like before the big black snake entered the well, it had looked at him with a venomous gaze. "I'm not the one who hurt you. Why are you looking for me?" Lin Jin scolded. "I'm not the one who hurt you. Why are you looking for me?" Lin Jin scolded. In any case, he was in a bad mood. When he touched Lan Xiaohua, he only knew that she was tainted with some demonic aura. According to the Museum of Deadly Beasts, she was targeted by a demonic beast. Because of this, Lin Jin came to help. Not only did he fail to get rid of the monster, he even incurred a grudge. Therefore, other than the reward of recording demonic beasts, he didn't get any other benefit. He brought Xiaohua to the mouth of the well to take a look. It was pitch black inside, and he could vaguely hear the sound of water. If they didn't go down, no one would know what was going on down there. Go down? Lin Jin would never go down there. Never in this lifetime. Who knew what was down there? What if it was a snake nest? This demonic beast is in a severely injured state right now. It won't come out anytime soon, so there's no need to be afraid of it for the time being. In a few days, when I get the second part of the beast energy training formula, I'll think of a way to increase Xiaohua's strength. Oh right, I still have De Huang. In the future, I'll carry him wherever I go. Lin Jin felt that his analysis was thorough. Instantly, he felt safe again. He looked at the mouth of the well. Why don't I seal the mouth of the well to prevent this black snake from coming out and harming people again? He had Xiaohua drag a boulder over to seal the mouth of the well. One wasn't enough, so he added a few more. Now, the mouth of the well was sealed tightly. Let's go. Lin Jin looked up at the sky before leaving with Xiaohua. It was almost daybreak. Since he couldn't sleep even if he went back, Lin Jin decided to head back to the Beast Appraisal Association and take a short nap in the emergency hall. Early in the morning, Zhao Ying came running over. Lin Jin briefly explained the situation to her. When Zhao Ying heard that it was related to monsters, she immediately said, "If it's a monster, we have to report it to the City Lord Manor and have them slay it." Lin Jin thought about it. That was right. Even if he didn't dare to go down, he could get someone else to do it. Moreover, the City Lord Manor was full of experts. If they could eradicate the black snake, he would be able to get rid of this threat. He immediately ran off with Zhao Ying to report to the authorities. Maple City's authorities. Since it was an organization of authority, this place was naturally imposing. The 2 lion beasts guarding the entrance were huge and unusually intimidating. Lin Jin was speechless. In his previous world, there were only stone lions at the entrance, but here they were all real. "Hold it right there. Who are you?" At the entrance, a guard stopped them and interrogated them. Lin Jin and Zhao Ying told him the reason. Monsters? The guard wore a doubtful expression, clearly in disbelief. However, when he saw the beast ring on Lin Jin's sleeve, he knew that he was an official beast appraiser, so he didn't dare to be rude. He led them inside and waited in a guest room. Soon, a man dressed like an officer entered. How could there be monsters in Maple City? That's utter nonsense. How could you believe something like that? The officer was still reprimanding his subordinate as he entered. Lin Jin shook his head at this. Another arrogant idiot. Although Lin Jin didn't hold much hope, he still had to say what he needed to say. Sure enough, the officer didn't believe Lin Jin. After a detailed interrogation, Lin Jin only said that he was helping out by coincidentally discovering traces of monsters, so he came to report it to the authorities. As for how he fought the monsters, Lin Jin wouldn't tell him. The officer sneered and glanced at Lin Jin. "You're Lin Jin of the Beast Appraisal Association, right? I've heard of you. Alright, I know what happened. You can go back now." Zhao said, "That monster has caused a lot of trouble. If you're going to hunt it down, you must be careful and bring enough men with you." It was meant as a friendly reminder, but the officer looked displeased. "Do we need a little girl like you to teach us how to work as an official?" Lin Jin smiled and saluted before dragging Zhao Ying away. "Master Lin, they..." Zhao Ying wanted to say more, but Lin Jin shook his head. "They're prejudiced and they don't believe us at all. If we say too much, we'll just get into trouble. Since that's the case, let them be." Lin Jin couldn't be bothered with how the City Lord Manor would handle the situation. However, he thought of something. That monster, the Black Snake, wouldn't appear in Maple City for no reason, and it seemed to be familiar with the well in that rundown temple. Hence, Lin Jin asked about the Earth Temple. Zhao Ying knew a thing or two about it. She said that the Earth Temple had been around since she was born and it had a history of more than 100 years. However, before it was burned down, there weren't many incense offerings, so people rarely visited the place. After it was burned down, even fewer people went there. Lin Jin asked when the Earth Temple was burned down. "Just a few days ago. I think Xiao Yi started having nightmares after the Earth Temple was burned down." "Right, Master Lin. Do you think these two incidents are related?" Zhao Ying was good at making connections. Lin Jin waved his hand. It was possible, but he didn't know the specifics. In any case, he would just record the monsters in the future. It didn't matter if they didn't, because monsters were too terrifying. Also, if that black snake didn't come looking for him, Lin Jin had made up his mind to kill it. Otherwise, if he kept this menace around, something bad would happen sooner or later. Chapter 70. Due to the matter with the authorities, Lin Jin was delayed for quite some time. By the time he returned to the Beast Appraisal Association, it was already noon. "Let's head back to the emergency hall first." However, just as he reached the entrance and Zhao Ying successfully entered, Lin Jin was stopped. Lin Jin was a little stunned, but the guards refused to let him in, saying that it was Chief Wang Ji's order. "This is too much." Lin Jin's expression darkened. It was one thing for Wang Ji to pick on him, and Lin Jin couldn't be bothered to deal with him, but for the man to forbid him from entering the association, that was too much. Just then, Wang Ji walked out with Jia Qian, Zhang He, and the others following behind him. "Lin Jin, headquarters has revoked your qualifications as an official beast appraiser. Now, please hand over the beast emblem on your sleeve. You're not allowed to step foot into the Beast Appraisal Association ever again because you're not qualified." Wang Ji was extremely pleased with himself. His plan to kick Lin Jin out was finally done. And it was 2 days earlier than he expected. Truth be told, he was shocked when he received the news today. The order to revoke Lin Jin's qualifications was issued by an inspector from headquarters. Inspectors from headquarters had the right to do so. Moreover, Wang Ji didn't expect this inspector to arrive at Maple City 2 days in advance. He just didn't know what had happened to anger this inspector to the point of reporting to headquarters and issuing such an order. No matter what the situation was, as long as it was beneficial to his side, it was fine. It could be said that Lin Jin had been sentenced to death, and there was no way he could make a comeback. Of course, Lin Jin was shocked. He suddenly recalled that strange woman from last night. Before she left, she seemed to have mentioned that his qualifications as a beast appraiser had been revoked. Back then, he thought it was just a joke. Who knew that it would really be revoked? Taking a deep breath, Lin Jin forced himself to calm down. Now that things had come to this, there was no point in arguing. His plans would definitely be ruined. He had planned to take the advancement exam, but now that his qualifications as a beast appraiser had been revoked, he couldn't take the exam anymore. But so what? Since my qualifications as an official beast appraiser have been revoked, I'll take the exam again. Not only that, but I'll also take the advancement exam. This sounded like a fantasy, but to Lin Jin, who owned the Museum of Deadly Beasts, nothing was impossible. What right do you have to revoke Master Lin's qualifications? At this moment, an angry voice rang out. It was Zhao Ying. At this moment, she was like an enraged lion, her face flushed with anger. Based on the decision made by the inspectors sent by the headquarters, Zhang He could not help but say. He had been beaten up by Dong He yesterday and his face was still swollen. Lin Jin couldn't be bothered with Zhang He, but he couldn't ignore Zhao Ying. He wanted to pull her back, but Zhao Ying stubbornly continued to shout. As an apprentice, I can vouch for Master Lin. As an official beast appraiser, be it his skills or character, he is impeccable. I request for a review. If Master Lin is truly incompetent, I am willing to bear all the consequences. Me too. Lu Xiaoyun and Han Dong also hurried over. I, Lu Xiaoyun, am willing to vouch for Master Lin. I, Han Dong, am willing to vouch for Master Lin. The three of them stepped forward, bowed their heads, and pleaded. Lin Jin gulped. He was slightly moved. You think you're worthy? Wang Ji scoffed. You're just 3 apprentices, not even official beast appraisers. What right do you have to vouch for him? What do you have to vouch for him? I'm warning you not to mess around. This is the headquarters' decision. If you don't want to work in the association, you can leave together. I won't stop you. Leave then. Lu Xiaoyun was the first to erupt in anger. But before she could finish, Lin Jin quickly came over and covered her mouth. Sob, sob, sob. Lu Xiaoyun bared her fangs and claws, but the rest of her words were all muffled. Enough, you 3. Lin Jin reprimanded with a straight face. Master Lin, I, Han Dong, have been greatly indebted to you. Now that my mentor is being humiliated, how can I remain indifferent? I swear to advance together with my mentor. Shut up! Lin Jin glared. He was truly enraged. Han Dong immediately shut his mouth in fear. But he couldn't stop his tears from flowing. Han Dong, the big boy who was always smiling, was actually crying at this moment. Not only him, but Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun's eyes were moist as well. At the association's main entrance, Lin Jin was stopped in front of everyone. Then, Wang Ji purposely revealed this incident in front of everyone to humiliate Lin Jin. Couldn't he have called Lin Jin aside to discuss this in private? It was obvious that this was all meticulously planned. After receiving headquarters' decision, Wang Ji had started plotting it. The 3 of them obviously couldn't tolerate Lin Jin being humiliated. After spending days together, they had shared weal and woe. Moreover, they were young and hot-blooded, so it was only natural for them to react in such a manner. This was human nature. If Lin Jin was an average person, he would probably lose his mind from anger. He would either cause a scene and embarrass himself, or he would faint from anger and become a laughing stock. But Lin Jin wasn't an average person. He patted Han Dong's shoulder, patted Lu Xiaoyun's head, and wiped away the tears on Zhao Ying's face. I understand your intentions. If you still respect me as your master, then listen to my orders. Don't say too much and stay in the association. Study your skills and increase your knowledge. Leave the rest to me. At the trio's nod, Lin Jin turned to Wang Ji. Of course I can't defy headquarters' orders. Chief Wang, let me ask you. Headquarters has only revoked my qualifications as an official beast appraiser. That's all, right? Lin Jin asked. Wang Ji laughed. Lin Jin, isn't that enough? All right, if you want to hear it, I'll say it again. That's right, headquarters has only issued an order to revoke your qualifications as an official beast appraiser. Do you understand now? Lin Jin nodded. That's good. So, I'll be registering for the Beast Appraiser's exams the day after tomorrow. Chief Wang Ji, see you then. Having said that, he flicked his sleeve and left. The crowd was stunned for a moment before bursting into laughter. Has Lin Jin lost his mind? Does he think he can still pass? What a joke. Does he really think he has the qualifications to be an official beast appraiser? The inspectors from headquarters aren't blind. If they didn't prove that Lin Jin doesn't live up to his name, why would they revoke his qualifications? He's just asking to be humiliated. Wang Ji laughed as he shook his head. I can't wait for you to take the exam. But your actions are questioning the decision of headquarters inspectors. They're still in Maple City. If they find out about this, forget about you failing the exam. Even if you do, you won't be able to pass. Wang Ji would ensure that the inspector found out about this. Moreover, he knew that this inspector dispatched by headquarters had an extraordinary status. If he were to anger him, Lin Jin wouldn't be able to make a comeback even if he had 3 heads and 6 arms. Inside the Beast Appraisal Association, Tan Lin listened to Wang Ji's report. When she recalled what happened last night, her expression darkened and the anger within her flared up again. He's still not convinced? Not only is this person shameless and lowly, but he's also overestimating himself. She gritted her teeth as she thought about it. However, she managed to keep her composure on the surface. She said calmly, if he wants to take the exam, let him take it. Headquarters didn't deprive him of the right to take the exam again. Despite her words, Tan Lin's expression made it clear that she was furious. This was exactly what Wang Ji wanted. He said, it's my fault for not being strict enough to have such a scum in the association. Right? Has Elder Tan come out yet? His attitude was surprisingly respectful. Elder Tan was the rank 3 beast appraiser invited by the City Lord Manor. Tan Sun held a high position in headquarters and was also the father of Inspector Tan Lin. Tan Lin shook her head. Father is still in the geocentric fire vein, discussing with Elder Mo and Elder Du about strengthening the seal. It might take some time, so I'll stay here and wait for him to come out. Chapter 71. 2 days passed by quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was exam day. On this day, beast appraisal associations across the country would hold a unified beast appraisers exam as required. On the same day, the official beast appraisers promotion exam would be held. It could be said that today was an important day in the beast appraisers community. The sapphire turtle was no longer in the yard. Zukin had come to retrieve the pet beast yesterday. The poison in the turtle's body had been removed and Zukan's family's problems were almost resolved as well. Zukan was furious after hearing about Lin Jin's ordeal. He even said that he would bring the sapphire turtle to the Beast Appraisal Association to cheer for Lin Jin. After packing up, Lin Jin prepared to leave. As he was afraid that the monster, the black snake, would seek revenge, Lin Jin had been sleeping under the bed for the past 2 days. Besides letting Xiao Hua sleep under the bed, he also forced Goldie to stay at the head of the bed. Even when he went out, Lin Jin would bring Goldie along. Hence, with a fire wolf and a large rooster trailing behind him, Lin Jin stood out like a sore thumb. The entrance of the Beast Appraisal Association was currently packed with people. Every year, many people would take the Beast Appraiser's exam. Of course, only a handful managed to pass. However, those who failed the exam still had the opportunity to apply to become an apprentice beast appraiser. As an apprentice, they could stay in the association to further their studies and take the exam after they had improved. Hence, most of the examinees were apprentice beast appraisers. Someone immediately recognized Lin Jin when he arrived. Lin Jin, is he really here? This man's skin is as thick as a city wall. Lin Jin pretended not to hear their mockery. He went to retrieve his exam pass and waited to take the exam. Just then, Zhao Ying, Lu Xiaoyun, and Han Dong arrived. Master Lin. The 3 of them bowed. Master Lin will definitely pass the Beast Appraiser's exam again. Zhao Ying looked confident. Lu Xiaoyun and Han Dong shared the same expression. Why didn't you guys take the exam? Lin Jin asked. The three of them exchanged glances. It's disrespectful to take the exam with your master. Moreover, the three of us are deeply aware that beast appraisals are as deep as the ocean and we wish to improve ourselves. If we take the exam, we must be confident. Otherwise, we would only embarrass you if we rely on luck. Lin Jin nodded. It's about to begin. Master Lin, you can go in first. The three of us will wait for your good news outside, Han Dong said. All right, I'll be going first then. Before Lin Jin could finish, Zhang He and a few others came over angrily. Wait, Lin Jin. I'm afraid you won't be able to enter because you're not qualified to take the exam. Zhang He was very proud of himself. Beside him was Dong He. Although the two of them had fought earlier, with Wang Ji and Nan Gongxin's mediation, they managed to resolve their conflict. They had even secretly plotted to deal with Lin Jin together. Lin Jin wanted to take the exam and make a comeback? Not even a door. Both of them hated Lin Jin to the core. Even if there was a sliver of hope for Lin Jin to make a comeback, they would crush it. Coincidentally, they really did find an excuse. The people Wang Ji sent to Everlasting Town found Wei Changyong. Everlasting Town's Earth Beast Appraiser, Wei Changyong, had once planned to use Lin Jin as a stepping stone to climb up the rank. In the end, he went for wool and came home shorn. He even lost Goldie. However, Wei Changyong had no choice but to admit that he was unlucky. Wang Ji's men went to investigate Lin Jin's previous evaluation in Everlasting Town, hoping to find something to use against Lin Jin. In the end, they found Wei Changyong. After clarifying the situation, both parties hit it off immediately. Especially after Wang Ji found out that Lin Jin did have a large rooster by his side, he secretly arranged for someone to bring Wei Changyong to Maple City, planning to deal Lin Jin a final blow at this crucial moment. He wanted Lin Jin to fail the exam. Initially, Wang Ji didn't plan on killing Lin Jin. Moreover, he didn't have any deep grudges against Lin Jin. However, the abilities Lin Jin had displayed over the past few days made him feel a little fearful. Someone even started hanging up Lin Jin's plaque. Also, the signboard that the shipwrights sent over wasn't a random act. It wasn't something Lin Jin paid someone to direct and act on his own. What concerned Wang Ji the most was the evaluation report Lin Jin wrote for the batch of mutant eggs. That night, at the City Lord Manor's banquet, Tan Sun, the rank 3 beast appraiser from headquarters, praised Wang Ji greatly because of his evaluation report. No one knew how shocked Wang Ji was at that time, because he was the only one who knew that his evaluation report was a complete copy of Lin Jin's. At first, Wang Ji thought that he didn't want to make any mistakes, but this was the result. While he was happy, he was also a little afraid. No matter how stupid he was, he knew that Lin Jin wasn't as simple as he seemed. There must be something special about Lin Jin when it came to beast appraising. Before this, he wouldn't have cared. But now, he was already suppressing Lin Jin. Moreover, he had purposely given Lin Jin the lowest marks in several consecutive evaluations. Imagine if Lin Jin suddenly rose to prominence. How could he continue to be chief? Hence, even if it was for his own sake, Wang Ji had to suppress Lin Jin completely. Only then could he stabilize his position as chief. His future wouldn't be affected by the stain of suppressing his subordinate. Zhang He pointed at Wei Changyong, whom he had brought along, and smirked at Lin Jin. Lin Jin, do you still recognize him? Wei Changyong took a step forward with a menacing grin. Lin Jin glanced at him and shook his head. No, I don't. It wasn't that Lin Jin had a bad memory. Back in Everlasting Town, he had only glanced at Wei Changyong once. Most of the time, he had his head lowered as he wrote his evaluation report. How could he have the time to look at someone? It was just a casual glance. How could he possibly remember him? Wei Changyong was furious. You don't remember me? I remember you. You were the one who swindled my rare beast away in Everlasting Town. It was that rooster next to you. He pointed. Everyone looked over. Indeed, there was a mighty rooster next to Lin Jin. I know you won't admit to it, but I have witnesses. The people around me are all from Everlasting Town. They can testify for me. Wei Changyong had clearly come prepared. The people around him nodded as well, speaking up to testify for him. Now, Lin Jin had become everyone's target. As a beast appraiser, swindling rare beasts was a huge taboo. Not only was it a problem of character, but it was also a violation of the law. A person like this indeed had no right to participate in the examination. Zhao Ying's expression darkened. She knew the inside story. That rooster next to Lin Jin really did belong to Wei Changyong. However, Lin Jin hadn't swindled her. The rooster had followed him here of its own accord. She was about to speak up when Lin Jin shook his head at her. Zhao Ying hurriedly swallowed her words of explanation. Lin Jin smiled. When I went to Everlasting Town to appraise beasts, there were too many people there, so I didn't remember you. But now that you mention it, I do remember someone asking me to appraise a regular rooster. He even said how dangerous that rooster was, like a bloodthirsty beast. Was that you? Lin Jin chuckled. Lin Jin nodded. That's right, it was me. Wei Changyong nodded. You've finally admitted it. Lin Jin shook his head. Admit what? You swindled my rooster. Wei Changyong said. Lin Jin smiled again. I appraised a beast in public with so many people watching. May I ask, how did I swindle your rooster? Of course you tamed it secretly and took it away. Wei Changyong already had a plan in mind. This was also the result of his discussion with Wang Ji. Lin Jin nodded. Beast appraisers only use 3 methods to tame beasts: amulets, spirit seals, and beast-taming pills. All 3 methods are traceable. Everyone here is an expert, so let's examine it directly. Otherwise, you'll accuse me of lying if I say I didn't swindle your rooster. Having said that, he turned to Goldie and said, Go, let them have a look. As a rank 3 pet beast, Goldie was extremely intelligent. He could actually understand Lin Jin's words. Despite looking dissatisfied, he still walked over. Wei Changyong had a trauma from this chicken. Seeing Goldie approaching, he quickly backed away in fear. Zhang He silently cursed him for being useless. He quickly went over to examine the rooster. Lu Xiaoyun suddenly said, I want to take part in the examination too in case they tampered with it. I'll go too. Another apprentice stepped forward. With this, it would be impossible for anyone to tamper or speak carelessly. Chapter 72. Beast taming was a profound skill that not everyone could master. However, it was easy to detect signs of taming. This was the basics. Even Wei Changyong knew a little about it. Wei Changyong was confident that the man must have used some tricks. Otherwise, that ferocious rooster wouldn't have been taken away by him. Whether it was talismans, spirit seals, or beast-taming pills, they were all traceable. As long as he could find them, he would be able to prove that the man was a scammer. He was very confident. But soon, Zhang He's expression darkened. He couldn't find any traces of talismans, spirit seals, or beast-taming pills. This, Zhang He panicked. If he was the only one doing the appraisal, he could still lie. But now that so many people were here, he couldn't lie anymore. Are there any signs of it being tamed? Lin Jin asked. Zhang He's expression changed, but he could only answer honestly, no. That's impossible. Wei Changyong panicked. He thought it was a foolproof plan, so there couldn't be any problems. Lin Jin couldn't be bothered to answer. Wei Changyong and the others had no idea that Lin Jin was using beast deterrence. It wasn't one of the 3 beast-taming methods but something more advanced. And so, Wei Changyong's card was played for nothing. Anyone with a brain would never believe this accusation. After all, similar chickens could be found everywhere. At this moment, one of the people that Wei Changyong had brought said, "This doesn't seem to be the same one. This one's fur color is brighter and it's bigger. Also, the yellow pattern on its comb is gone. It's only been a few days. If it was the same one, it wouldn't have changed so much." The person who spoke was obviously straightforward. Most villagers were like this. Moreover, Wei Changyong had invited them here to testify for him. He hadn't colluded with them beforehand. It was also Wei Changyong who was certain that the rooster beside Lin Jin was his. In the end, he was stabbed at a crucial moment by his own people, crippling his own cultivation. Wei Changyong almost fainted from anger. Needless to say, everyone could tell what was going on. This person came to scam people without even understanding the situation. What a joke. Yeah. No matter how useless Lin Jin is, he wouldn't lie about his pet beast. Plus, there's no way he could have done it. Lin Jin flicked his sleeve. The exam is starting soon. I'm not going to play around with you guys anymore. I think you're the one who's messing around, a voice said. Turning around, he saw that Wang Ji had arrived. Not only Wang Ji, but there were also a few others. A group of people walked over aggressively. It's President Wang Ji. Elder Nan Gongxian as well. These two are the big shots of the association. I can't believe they showed up at the same time. The woman beside President Wang Ji is so beautiful. Who is she? Everyone discussed among themselves and made way for him. Wang Ji walked up to Lin Jin. Wang Ji had also seen the situation just now. Knowing that Wei Changyong's move was useless, he personally stepped in. In any case, he wasn't planning on letting Lin Jin take the exam today. Even if he had to resort to some despicable means, he wouldn't mind. After all, Lin Jin was alone and had no one to help him. On the other hand, there were quite a few people on his side who wanted to trample on Lin Jin. Lin Jin frowned at the sight of Wang Ji. Moreover, there was also Nan Gongxian. There was also a girl who looked very familiar. It's you. Lin Jin remembered now. Wasn't this the woman he met at the emergency hall a few days ago? Back then, he thought she was Zhao Ying's friend, so he decided to treat her. It turned out to be a misunderstanding. However, even if it was a misunderstanding, this woman's reaction was too overbearing. Now, it seemed like this woman had to be someone important. Otherwise, people like Wang Ji and Nan Gongxian wouldn't be crowding around her. Could she be an inspector sent by headquarters? Only an inspector sent by headquarters had the authority to revoke his qualifications as a beast appraiser. Lin Jin, this is the inspector sent by headquarters, Appraiser Tan Lin. She has verified your previous appraisal accident, and as an official beast appraiser, you will bear full responsibility for it. After a discussion with Elder Nan, Appraiser Tan Lin, and I, we feel that someone like you is no longer suitable to be a beast appraiser. Hence, we've decided to revoke your qualifications to participate in the beast appraiser's exam, and you'll never be hired again. Wang Ji said seriously with a straight face. At the same time, he pointed out Tan Lin's identity. He also said something that shocked everyone present. To put it simply, Lin Jin was blacklisted and stripped of his qualifications to take the exam. This is ruthless. Lin Jin is done for. Chief Wang and the others must have just made their decision. Look, the victim of the appraisal accident is here too. Sure enough, a young man was glaring at Lin Jin from the crowd. Behind him was a wolf beast with its head hanging low. It was as thin as a match, covered in wounds, and looked dispirited. This wolf beast is the one Lin Jin said was an upper-grade pet beast. It doesn't look like much, but Lin Jin appraised the wrong pet beast and even forced the victim to form a blood contract on the spot. It's definitely an accident. But this punishment is a little too severe. Blacklisted. His future is ruined. As the crowd discussed, Wang Ji had the young man step forward. Lin Jin, don't say that we're targeting you. Look, this young man had a bright future ahead of him, but because of you, he formed a blood contract with a flawed pet beast. Even if he were to cancel the blood contract, it would take a long time before he could form a blood contract with another pet beast. He's going to take the Friar Association's entrance exam this year. Without a pet beast, how could he take the exam? If he misses a year, he'll have to wait another year. For this reason alone, are you willing to be blacklisted? Lin Jin glanced at the young man and the pet beast beside him before walking over. Ignoring the young man, he reached out to touch the wolf beast's head. Due to the fact that this wolf beast was a flawed pet beast, the young man didn't like it. He probably wasn't given good food either, so it was starving to this extent. As for the wounds on its body, it must have been abused. After touching it, the Museum of Deadly Beasts immediately recorded it. The specimen and the stone tablet's attributes appeared. Lin Jin scanned through the results on the stone tablet and his eyes lit up. Truth be told, Lin Jin had nothing to say about his predecessor's appraisal mistake. After all, an accident was an accident. No amount of excuses would be enough. However, if he had the Museum of Deadly Beasts, there might be a way to fix this wolf beast's flaws. But now, not only was there a way, this wolf beast wasn't as simple as it seemed. Rank 1 wolf beast in a blood contract state. Shadow wolf. Dual attributes of wind and wood. Hidden bloodline, nether. Flawed bones and veins. There are 11 ways to fix it. They are 7 ways to evolve it. They are 3 ways to activate its bloodline. Lin Jin read through the descriptions one by one. He had to admit that this wolf beast was quite rare. Even among all the rare beasts he had encountered in the past few days, it could be considered one of the top few. Now Lin Jin had a plan. Chapter 73. Just then, the young man cried out in grief, "Appraiser Lin, you've really done me a disservice. Back then, I came to ask for your opinion because I thought you were a trustworthy beast appraiser. But who knew?" Taking a deep breath, he continued. "Back then, I wasn't sure if I should buy this pet beast. After all, the seller was asking for a very high price. I was born into a poor family, so in order to buy this pet beast, my parents had to sell their ancestral home before they could gather enough money. If you had told me that this pet beast wasn't worth forming a blood pact with, I definitely wouldn't have sold my entire fortune to buy it. Now, my parents have lost all their savings and they said that I could take the exam again next year. But now, my parents are penniless, so how could they possibly take the exam again? You've ruined my family, ruined my entire life." At this, everyone looked at him sympathetically. That was right. It was indeed difficult for a commoner to embark on the path of a cultivator. Lin Jin had invested his entire family's fortune and pinned all of his hopes on him. This was their trust in him, but in the end, the pet beast they recommended was such a piece of trash. Lin Jin had indeed ruined his entire family and ruined his entire life. Even if this young man wanted to form a new blood pact with a pet beast, how could he afford it? Wang Ji said with a pained expression, "Everyone, do you now understand why Elder Nan, Appraiser Tan Lin, and I made this decision? Lin Jin has gone too far. Banning him is a responsibility to Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association and everyone else. We don't want Lin Jin to commit any more mishaps." At this, everyone nodded in agreement. Who said it was a mishap? Lin Jin got up. Having said that, he turned to the furious young man and said, "You're a man who bites the hand that feeds you. I was kind enough to help you find such a precious pet beast, but not only are you not grateful, you're even trying to backstab me. What nonsense are you spouting?" The young man was enraged. Wang Ji's expression darkened as well. "Lin Jin, you're still quibbling and spouting nonsense at a time like this." Lin Jin didn't back down. Instead, he turned to Wang Ji and said, "Whether I'm quibbling or not, we'll know soon enough." Having said that, he turned to the young man again. "Do you still remember what I told you that day? Even if you've forgotten about it, the beast evaluation report that I wrote for you should have written it very clearly and clearly. I told you that this wolf is a premium pet beast, and that you should form a blood pact with it immediately so that you can raise it properly. I also told you to come back within 7 days. Am I right? The young man was stunned before nodding. That's right. But after that, I met Chief Wang Ji and he personally appraised it for me. Only then did I find out that this pet beast was flawed. Wang Ji said angrily. Wang said, Lin Jin, Wang, what are you trying to say? Lin Jin raised his voice. That day, when I appraised this man's pet beast, I made it clear that it's an upper-grade pet beast, and the most important thing is for him to come back within 7 days. Let me ask you, why didn't you come? The young man said angrily, I was tricked by you once. How can I be tricked by you again? I lied to you? Lin Jin was enraged. He raised his hand, condensed a spirit seal, and slapped it on the young man's wolf beast's head. The next instant, an invisible wave of energy gushed out. Everyone's clothes fluttered in the wind as they stared in shock. Although the wolf beast was still thin and weak, it now exuded a domineering aura and a sharp gaze. Compared to before, it was like a completely different wolf. What was most unbelievable was that this wolf beast's silhouette flickered in and out of existence. One look and anyone could tell that it was extraordinary. A rare beast. Those with discerning eyes could immediately tell at a glance that only rare beasts would have all sorts of special abilities. This time, everyone was shocked. The young man was dumbfounded. He pointed at the wolf beast, speechless. Wang Ji's heart was pounding. His mouth was wide open, more than enough to stuff a bun into his mouth. Nan Gongxian frowned. Tan Lin's pupils dilated. None of them had expected such a scene to unfold. Now, it was Lin Jin's turn to look indignant. I lied to you? This pet beast has a rare shadow wolf bloodline. Isn't it wrong to call it an upper-class pet beast? Back then, I saw how poor your family was, so I didn't dare to write down the pet beast's bloodline for fear that someone bad might find out and harm you. Let me ask you, have I, Lin Jin, done anything wrong? The young man paled. He stared at the wolf beast with a completely different aura, speechless. Lin Jin's voice grew louder. I told you to come find me in 7 days, so that you can bond with your pet beast. At the same time, you can slowly nourish it with meat. When the time comes, I can use a secret technique to activate its hidden bloodline. But what about you? Did you come find me? I. Sweat began to form on the young man's forehead. You didn't. Lin Jin let out a long sigh. I, Lin Jin, have always done things with a clear conscience. Yet, I didn't know that I was being schemed against by a despicable person who twisted the truth and made it sound like an appraisal accident. Even so, I didn't refute him. I only hoped that this matter would be resolved as soon as possible, and I was still waiting for you to come find me. You're finally here today. But to think that I, Lin Jin, would receive a boycott order instead. This shadow wolf is such a rare beast, yet you treated it like this. You probably haven't fed it anything for the past few days. Not only did you treat it coldly, you even abused it. Pet beasts are sentient too. Even if you have a blood contract with it, the way you've treated it, it might turn on you, break free from the blood contract, and leave you. Perhaps in response to Lin Jin's words, after activating its bloodline, the shadow wolf howled at the sky. In an instant, a mist of blood erupted from its body. It was as if something had just snapped. It broke its blood contract and broke free from its restraints. This shadow wolf is willing to harm itself just to break free from the blood contract. It was rare for a pet beast to break a blood contract. It would only succeed when the pet beast was strong but the blood contract was unstable. Of course, from another perspective, it was also when the owner was too weak or abused the pet beast. Only then would it happen. Who knew it would happen in front of everyone today? That young man retreated a few steps in shock. He seemed to have understood something and immediately walked towards the dark shadow wolf. However, the dark shadow wolf growled and looked like it was about to attack. The young man didn't dare to step forward. He could only kneel before Lin Jin. Appraiser Lin, I was wrong. I was wrong. Please think of a way for me to form a blood contract with it again. Everyone looked at him in disdain. Who was the one who ignored their pet beast? Who was the one who tortured it and refused to feed it? Now that they saw that not only was the pet beast not a worthless piece of trash, but a rare beast with a rare bloodline, their attitude changed immediately. You want to redeem yourself? Face. Doesn't it hurt? That's impossible. Wang Ji snapped out of his daze. He immediately cast a spell and activated his spiritual eye to carefully appraise the shadow wolf. However, the result of this appraisal made him suck in a breath of cold air. Just as Lin Jin had said, it wasn't an exaggeration to call this wolf an upper-class creature. There could only be one possibility, and that was that this wolf beast's bloodline was well hidden and Wang Ji hadn't been able to appraise it back then. But how did Lin Jin see through it? Also, what was that spirit seal earlier? Wang Ji couldn't understand it either. This spirit seal could instantly activate the wolf beast's bloodline. Chapter 74. Nan Gongxian remained silent. He hadn't participated in the evaluation of Lin Jin's appraisal accident and had only heard about it. Now, it seemed like that wasn't the case at all. Based on the current situation, it couldn't even be considered an appraisal accident. Nan Gongxian glanced at Wang Ji in dissatisfaction. How could he mistake an accident? What the hell was this Wang Ji doing? Tan Lin came forward with a frown, clearly intending to re-evaluate the shadow wolf. The wolf growled. Lin Jin patted its head and it immediately quieted down. Tan Lin was shocked, but she didn't let it show on her face. She used a seal to appraise the wolf. At first, she was hoping for a fluke, but after the evaluation, her expression darkened. She bit her lip and said nothing. What else could she say? As an inspector sent by headquarters, she had just verified Lin Jin's appraisal accident and determined his responsibility. But in the blink of an eye, reality had given her a resounding slap. The result of her verification was completely wrong. Clearly, this couldn't be considered an appraisal accident. But she couldn't bring herself to say it. What she meant was to turn this incident into a small one. But to her surprise, Lin Jin didn't let her have her way and asked directly, Appraiser Tan Lin, may I ask if this appraisal accident is justified? Tan Lin was obviously embarrassed to be questioned, but she could only say, based on the current situation, it's not justified. Wang Ji panicked. Not justified? If it wasn't justified, what excuse could she use to blacklist Lin Jin? He immediately said, Appraiser Tan Lin, I think we need to investigate this. I said it's not justified. Tan Lin said through gritted teeth. Although she hated Lin Jin, her pride wouldn't allow her to point fingers and spout nonsense in front of him. But Wang Ji wanted to stop her. No buts. A mistake is a mistake. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Since Tan Lin said so, Wang Ji couldn't say anything else. He could only glare at Lin Jin as he calculated. Lin Jin asked again, since it's not justified, may I go in for the exam? In fact, the exam had already started and half the time had passed. Tan Lin didn't make things difficult for him this time. The appraisal accident was indeed our fault. You may go in for the exam. Thanks. Having said that, Lin Jin winked at the trio, flicked his sleeves, and stepped into the examination hall. I knew Master Lin could do it. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun were jumping with joy. Han Dong clenched his fists in excitement. Only then did the onlookers react. So this is what the beast appraisal accident was all about. 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Soon, everyone present knew about it. How could the people from the Beast Appraisal Association make such a mistake? Aren't they just trying to ruin their reputation? Some people felt indignant for Lin Jin. Tan Lin's expression was extremely ugly. She had indeed been a little too hasty in this matter. When Wang Ji came looking for her with the young man and pet beast for her to verify, she didn't take a closer look. Due to her preconceived notions of Lin Jin, she only needed to listen to the young man's words and take a quick look at the pet beast before making her decision. She never thought that this matter would embarrass her in front of everyone. Wang Ji was good at reading people's expressions. An idea came to his mind and he whispered, "This Lin Jin doesn't know what's good for him. Even if he was wrong, he shouldn't have questioned him in person. Couldn't he have said it in private? Now that this has happened, it won't be good for his reputation. This man is too selfish. Even if he has the ability of a beast appraiser, his character isn't up to par." Tan Lin didn't say anything, but she agreed. That night, Lin Jin took advantage of her. Tan Lin had experienced it firsthand. A person who behaved inappropriately in private obviously didn't have a good character. No matter how skilled a person like him was in beast appraisal, he wasn't fit to be a beast appraiser. Moreover, half of the examination time has passed. Even if I take the examination now, I might not be able to finish all 10 evaluation reports in time, Wang Ji muttered to himself. He knew the contents of the beast appraiser's examination. Every candidate would be assigned a practice beast. The practice beast was a unique prop with a beast simulation amulet attached to it. An examiner would then activate the amulet. Each amulet would allow the practice beast to imitate a predetermined pet beast. Candidates would have to appraise all 10 beast simulation amulets within the allotted time and write an evaluation report. The score would be assessed based on the number of reports, completeness, and accuracy. One could imagine that an average candidate might not even be able to appraise all 10 beasts within the allotted time, let alone Lin Jin, who only had half the time. Hence, the chances of him passing the examination weren't high. Meanwhile, Dong He was glaring at Han Dong. However, Han Dong showed no signs of fear and remained resolute. Last night, Han Dong had sought out Dong He and told him that he would no longer help keep an eye on Lin Jin, nor would he report the situation back to the association. To Dong He, this was a betrayal. "How dare you, Han Dong? How dare you betray me? Just wait and see. Once Lin Jin is done for, the next one to be kicked out of the association will be you." Just then, 2 elderly men walked out from the Beast Appraisal Association. One of them was dressed in black. He was Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association's Elder Mo. The other man wore a 3-ringed sleeve band, indicating that he was a rank 3 beast appraiser. Even in Jade Dragon City's Beast Appraisal Association, a rank 3 beast appraiser was a prominent figure. "Father!" At the sight of the elderly man, Tan Lin straightened up and hurried over to greet him. The man was the rank 3 beast appraiser invited by the City Lord Manor, Tan Soon. He was also Tan Lin's father. "Linner, why are you here too?" Tan Soon clasped his hands behind his back, looking calm and collected. The moment he appeared, he immediately attracted everyone's attention. Wang Ji hurriedly went forward to greet him. Even Nan Gongxian, who had always felt superior, smiled and went forward to greet him. They were only rank 2 beast appraisers, so how could they dare to be disrespectful in front of a rank 3 beast appraiser? Moreover, Tan Soon held a high position in headquarters as many beast appraisers were his disciples. "Elder Tan." The group rushed to greet him. Tan Soon nodded. His main reason for coming to Maple City was to assist the branch here in strengthening the seal on the monster under the geocentric fire vein. For some reason, the seal had loosened a few days ago. Elder Mo had reported this to headquarters, which was why they had to take action this time. Secondly, it just so happened that Maple City's City Lord Manor had invited him to appraise a batch of mutated beast egg. That was why he came personally. However, he didn't expect Wang Ji from Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association to be able to appraise the eggs so accurately. Tan Sun had read the evaluation report. Although it wasn't perfect, it was still an outstanding performance for a rank 2 beast appraiser. Hence, Tan Sun had a good impression of Wang Ji. Elder Tan, you've worked hard. I've prepared a room for you. Please rest first, Wang Ji said with a bow. Good at flattery, he was bowing. Tan Sun nodded with a smile. He had been reinforcing the seal for the past few days, so he was a little tired. Suddenly, he took a closer look at Tan Lin. As if noticing something, his eyes lit up. Linner, give me your hand, Tan Sun suddenly said. Tan Lin didn't understand, but she handed her hand over anyway. Tan Sun took her pulse, and a moment later, he looked pleasantly surprised. Linner, the bestial soul curse in your body has been broken. Chapter 75. Tan Sun was genuinely happy while Tan Lin was confused. Father, what are you talking about? What bestial soul curse? Tan Lin asked. Tan Sun snapped back to his senses and smacked his forehead. He said with a smile, I forgot. Your mother and I didn't tell you about this. Back when you were still young, Dad offended a powerful enemy. That person was despicable and shameless. Since he couldn't deal with me, he reached out to you instead. That person knew a secret technique and cast a bestial soul curse on you. Do you remember how you would often break out in cold sweat and have nightmares when you were young? Sometimes you would even faint suddenly? Tan Lin remembered and nodded. Wasn't it because you were sick? Tan Sun smiled bitterly. Your mother and I were afraid that you would be scared, so we lied to you. All those years, I tried my best to suppress the bestial soul curse in your body. After that, the curse never acted up again. Instead, it remained dormant and became a thorn in my side. Tan Lin was truly dumbfounded. How could something like this happen? Father, why didn't you tell me? Tan Sun said, if I told you, it would only add to your burden. That's why your mother and I discussed this, and kept it a secret from you. All these years, I've read many ancient books in an attempt to completely dispel the curse in your body. Finally, I've made some progress. However, I still need to make some preparations. I never expected that the bestial soul curse would actually be dispelled. Lin, did you sense it yourself and find an expert to dispel the curse for you? Tan Lin shook her head. How could she have noticed it? This was her first time hearing about it. Tan Sun continued, that bestial soul curse is no ordinary curse. Although you're a rank 2 beast appraiser, you're only good at appraising beasts, so you couldn't have dispelled it yourself. Tell me, who helped us so much? I want to thank him personally. No, I didn't find anyone to dispel the curse. I didn't even know about it. Tan Lin told the truth. She was indeed kept in the dark. If Tan Sun hadn't mentioned it, she wouldn't have known. This time, it was Tan Sun's turn to be stunned. You didn't know? Then how was the bestial soul curse dispelled? Tan Sun knew how powerful the curse in his daughter's body was. If it wasn't for someone dispelling it, it wouldn't have dissipated on its own under normal circumstances. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone through so much trouble to find a way to dispel it all these years. The conversation between the father and daughter was overheard by the people around them. Among those present, Old Mo's status was second only to Tan Sun. At this moment, he said, it's true that the bestial soul curse can't dissipate on its own. If it were that easy, it wouldn't be called a taboo art. Since Linner doesn't know about it, perhaps an expert noticed it and secretly helped her break it. Tan Sun also came to a realization when he heard this. Yeah, that's the only explanation. Linner, have you met any experts recently? Tan Lin was baffled. She shook her head repeatedly. I have a lot of things to do and have to run around all day. I haven't met any experts. Then, have you sought medical advice? Tan Sun continued asking. No. Tan Lin was very sure. That's strange. Tan Sun stroked his beard, clearly perplexed. At the side, old Mo said, perhaps Lin herself did not notice it. However, in order to break the curse, she has to come into contact with her body. If she thinks about it, she should be able to recall it. Tan Sun nodded in agreement. From what I've seen, the curse in Linner's body was probably broken within the past few days. In other words, it happened in Maple City. Everyone was shocked to hear this. Wang Ji, Nan Gongxian, and the others looked confused, wondering if there was a hidden expert in Maple City that they did not know about. That shouldn't be the case. Even if there was, it was impossible for them not to know about it. Tan Lin frowned at her father's words. The curse was broken within the past few days? But I've been in Maple City for the past few days, waiting for you to come out. No one has touched me except for... Tan Lin's expression darkened as she thought of something. As the saying went, no one knew a daughter better than her father. One look at his daughter's expression told Tan Sun that she had thought of something important. Linner, have you thought of something? Tell me, which hidden expert saved you? He's my benefactor, so we have to repay his kindness. Tan Lin's mind was a mess. Thinking back, the only person who had touched her in the past few days seemed to be that lecher, Lin Jin. Then, she thought about what happened that night. She wanted to make a secret visit to see if Lin Jin was as bad as Wang Ji's report described him to be. Hence, after finding out that Lin Jin was at the emergency hall, she went there. But when she arrived, the man took her pulse out of nowhere and then suddenly pressed a finger on her abdomen. She touched the spot and her heart skipped a beat. It's the Tianshu acupoint. Could it be? At this moment, Tan Lin thought of a possibility. Her face turned pale instantly. Even her fingers could not help but tremble. Everyone was confused by Tan Lin's reaction. Tan Sun, on the other hand, seemed to have noticed something. He knew his daughter better than anyone else. She must have figured something out. Linner, what's going on? Tan Sun asked. Tan Lin recalled that night. One of Lin Jin's apprentices seemed to have brought a young girl in with him. They must have asked for his help as well. Could he have mistaken Tan Lin for him? That was why he took her pulse and pressed his finger on her Tianshu acupoint? That couldn't be. I'm overthinking things. How could a single finger break a bestial soul curse that even father couldn't break? Tan Lin still held onto a sliver of hope. She glanced at Tan Sun and asked, Father, can the bestial soul curse in my body be broken by a single finger strike on my Tianshu acupoint? Tan Sun was stunned. Tan Sun was taken aback. After a moment of contemplation, he actually looked enlightened. Wonderful! Why didn't I think of this method? That's right. That curse is of the Yin attribute and is extremely cunning. If an expert can tell that the curse is located at the Heaven's Pivot acupoint, then they can use the Fire Origin Spirit Finger to strike the Heaven's Pivot acupoint when it's least expected. There is indeed a chance that the curse can be broken in an instant. However, it requires great skill and decisiveness. Linner, how did you come up with this idea? As if struck by lightning, Tan Lin's body swayed. Her heart was filled with a myriad of emotions that eventually turned into shame. It really was him. Lin Jin was the one who broke the bestial soul curse. In other words, not only did Lin Jin not take advantage of her, he even helped her get rid of the curse. And yet, Tan Lin repaid his kindness with ingratitude, immediately getting headquarters to revoke his qualification as a beast appraiser. Because of her stubbornness today, she almost banned Lin Jin. If he hadn't proven his innocence, he might not even be able to take the exam. She understood everything now. It was no wonder he accused her of slandering him back then. I helped you out of kindness, but not only did you not thank me, you even tried to backstab me. What kind of person is this? If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have bothered with you. These words were like a heavy hammer that ruthlessly smashed into Tan Lin's chest. Guilt, regret, and self-blame caused the fire in her heart to backfire. Her face turned red, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Everyone panicked. Tan Sun was the first to react. He immediately went forward and sealed Tan Lin's acupoints with his finger. At the same time, he took out a pill and fed it to her. Tan Lin was so ashamed that spitting out a mouthful of blood was a good thing. Otherwise, it would have been worse if she had kept it to herself. After taking a few deep breaths, Tan Lin said to Tan Sun, "Father, I've made a huge mistake." Chapter 76. This time, Tan Lin told him everything in full detail. As she recounted the incident, everyone around her wore different expressions. Some of them had their mouths agape in shock, especially Wang Ji, whose eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Tan Sun asked, "Who is this Lin Jin?" No one dared to speak, especially Wang Ji. He had no idea what to say. Could he say that the person who saved his daughter was someone he deemed unqualified to be a beast appraiser? "Father, let me explain." Tan Lin explained Lin Jin's situation to her father. The more he listened, the darker Tan Sun's expression became. The more he listened, the deeper his frown became. Tan Lin told him about the evaluation incident and Lin Jin's punishment over the past few days. She didn't hold anything back. Foolish and willful. Tan Sun couldn't resist reprimanding his daughter. Tan Lin lowered her head. "Linner, no wonder you vomited blood out of shame. If I were in your shoes, I would have done the same. But since you're ashamed, it means you know what you did was wrong." Having said that, Tan Sun walked over to the Shadow Wolf. As Lin Jin went to take his exam, the Shadow Wolf waited where it was. If anyone else approached, it would growl in warning. But when Tan Sun approached, it didn't resist. Instead, it lowered its head obediently. With Tan Sun's skills as a rank 3 beast appraiser, taming a shadow wolf was a piece of cake. With just one glance, Tan Sun knew what was going on. That wasn't an appraisal accident. The shadow wolf's bloodline is hidden very well. Only an expert beast appraiser would be able to detect it. And if I'm not mistaken, the thing that activated the wolf's bloodline was the blood-dissolving spirit seal. It's a very advanced spirit seal technique. Even in headquarters, there aren't many beast appraisers who can master this spirit seal technique. That one sentence was enough to give Lin Jin a high evaluation. Wang Ji had obviously heard of the blood-dissolving spirit seal before. However, his mastery of the technique was mediocre. He couldn't possibly activate a pet beast's bloodline with just one spirit seal. "Linner, you're now an inspector dispatched by headquarters. So whether Lin Jin is suitable to be a beast appraiser or not is up to you to decide. I won't interfere in this matter anymore," Tan Sun said. Although he said he wouldn't interfere, his attitude was clear. At this moment, Tan Lin also took a deep breath, her expression incomparably solemn. "Chief Wang, please bring me Lin Jin's past evaluation records immediately. I want to check them. Also, bring me some of his evaluation reports as well." Tan Lin, who had returned to normal, now showed her capable side. Wang Ji obviously didn't want to see this happen, so he said, "I don't think Lin Jin was the one who broke appraiser Tan Lin's bestial soul curse. Based on what I know, he doesn't have the ability to do so. And if it was him, why didn't he say anything?" "I think this matter still needs to be verified." Tan Lin frowned. Previously, she had a strong opinion of Lin Jin. But after learning that Lin Jin was her savior, her attitude changed. She hadn't noticed Wang Ji's attitude before, but now, she could tell that Wang Ji was prejudiced against Lin Jin. He was even purposely picking on him. "Chief Wang, I'll make my decision. Please do as I say," Tan Lin said expressionlessly. Wang Ji had no choice but to send someone to retrieve Lin Jin's score. As for the evaluation reports, they weren't kept. But since Zhao Ying was present, she had Han Dong rush over to retrieve them. Soon, the items were brought over. Tan Lin inspected them on the spot. Having regained her impartiality, she immediately noticed the problem. First, it was Lin Jin's evaluation report. The contents were too subjective and many of them were unverifiable. In fact, many of the same incidents, which were trivial to others, became intolerable mistakes to Lin Jin. It's no wonder Lin Jin's score is so low. Tan Lin glared at Wang Ji. If she still couldn't figure out what was going on, she would truly be a fool. It was obvious that Wang Ji had been suppressing Lin Jin. And it was a blatant suppression. Looking at the evaluation reports brought over by Zhaoying, Tan Lin felt that she had been too careless. She had failed to check Lin Jin's evaluation reports when she was here to supervise him. With a single glance, she was immediately convinced by the contents of these evaluation reports. These evaluation reports could be used as a model even in the headquarters. This was a world of difference from the evaluation Wang Ji and the others gave. Wang Ji's expression was grim. He didn't say a word. Because he had nothing to say. However, he wasn't afraid. There was a certain degree of subjectivity in the evaluation of his subordinates, and it was entirely up to him. Even if there were some deviations, he could only blame it on his own negligence. He could even find a random subordinate to be his scapegoat and take the blame. At that moment, Wang Ji said, "I rarely interact with Lin Jin. After all, the association is such a large organization, so it's hard to cover everything. Zhang He, you were the one who recorded Lin Jin's daily activities. Tell me, why did you write him down so badly? How much of your daily reports are filled with exaggerations?" Wang Ji had obviously found a scapegoat. Zhang He shuddered in fear. But he wasn't dumb. He knew he had to take responsibility for certain things. Hence, he quickly stepped forward and said, "Chief, Appraiser Tan Lin, it's my fault. I wasn't strict enough and only heard rumors. Hence, some parts of the report were exaggerated, but most of it is true." Then, Nan Gongxian spoke up, "This isn't a big deal. Moreover, Lin Jin's case is mainly related to the previous evaluation incident. But since it was verified that it wasn't an accident, we can revoke his previous punishment. At most, Lin Jin will be reinstated as a beast appraiser." As expected of an elder, Nan Gongxian was able to minimize the issue with just one sentence. He clearly didn't plan to hold someone accountable. He also pointed out that Tan Lin was involved in the evaluation of the previous evaluation incident. If someone were to be held accountable, Tan Lin wouldn't be able to get away with it. This move was indeed brilliant. Wang Ji, Zhang He, and the others were delighted in their hearts. They thought to themselves that the older the ginger, the spicier it was. With Elder Nangong standing on their side, they should be able to get away with it. However, Tan Lin had no intention of getting away with this. Or rather, it was her pride that made it impossible for her to do so. "I will take responsibility for my oversight. From today onwards, I will resign from my position as an inspector. Maple Cities Association will have to take this matter seriously to prevent the same thing from happening again." She was clearly not going to let this go. Nan Gongxian frowned but said nothing. Tan Lin wasn't giving him face, so there was nothing he could do. He glanced at Wang Ji, implying that there was nothing he could do to help. Wang Ji knew that he had to cut his losses, so he took a deep breath and said, "Appraiser Tan Lin is right. I am also responsible for this, so I will forfeit 3 months of my salary. At the same time, I will revoke Zhang He's qualifications to hold a consultation hall and demote him to an ordinary apprentice. He will be kept in the association for observation, and if he refuses to learn, he will be severely punished." It took many years for an apprentice to have their own consultation hall. Now that Zhang He's consultation hall had been cancelled, it was equivalent to closing down the hall. His years of hard work had gone up in smoke. Zhang He's expression immediately turned ugly, but he could only accept it. Shutting down his consultation hall was better than being chased out. Nan Gongxian knew that it was best for this matter to end here, so he offered to invite the rank 3 beast appraiser, Tan Sun, to a banquet. Wang Ji came to his senses and said, "Look at my bad memory. Since Elder Tan is visiting Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association, how can we not be the host? Symphony Restaurant's dishes are pretty good and we've already prepared a banquet. We hope Elder Tan will do us the honor, and we can use this opportunity to ask for your guidance in beast appraisal. To his surprise, Tan Sun shook his head. It's not convenient for me to interfere in Maple City's association's internal affairs, and I won't interfere either. But for the benefactor who saved my daughter, I, Tan Sun, have to wait for him to come out and thank him in person. Chapter 77. Tan Sun said he wanted to wait for his benefactor so Wang Ji, Nan Gongxian, and the others couldn't say anything else. Since they couldn't leave on their own, they could only stay and wait. Right now, Wang Ji was extremely annoyed. Lin Jin was supposed to be done for. How did he manage to turn things around in such a short amount of time? But so be it. He would let Zhang He take the blame for the grading. When the time came, he could just write a self-reflection report and send it to headquarters. That should be enough to settle this matter. As for Lin Jin, he couldn't do anything to him for now. He would just have to wait a little longer. While Wang Ji was contemplating, he heard a commotion behind him. Turning around, he saw a sapphire turtle. Wang Ji recognized this turtle. It was the pet beast of the Zhu family's young master. Zukin Wang Ji had even treated it before. The turtle was probably terminally ill and was doomed to die. But now, the sapphire turtle didn't look like it was dying at all. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was alive and kicking. Wang Ji had been busy recently, so he didn't know that Lin Jin had cured this sapphire turtle. Behind the sapphire turtle was Zhu Kan and his father, the Zhu family's patriarch, Zhu Tianhong. This man was of high status in Maple City. Why was he suddenly paying a visit? The Zhu family member was carrying a plaque with the words "Miraculous Hands" written on it. It was a plaque. In the Beast Appraisal Association, it wasn't uncommon to receive plaques like this. In Wang Ji's consultation hall alone, there were more than 10 plaques hanging on the wall. Zhu Tianhong was a prominent figure, so Wang Ji had no choice but to welcome him. However, the man's first words made Wang Ji feel like he had swallowed a fly. Zhu Tianhong said, "Chief Wang, may I know where appraiser Lin Jin is? We're here to give him a plaque to thank him for curing my son's pet beast's illness." It was for Lin Jin. Wang Ji mused, "If I had known, I wouldn't have come." But since he was already here, he could only smile sheepishly and say, "Lin Jin is still taking his exam. When he comes out, Patriarch Zhu can hand it over to him personally." Zhu Tianhong nodded. Zukin looked around. When he saw Zhao Ying and the others, he walked over. "What do you think? I'll have my father make a plaque and send it over personally." With this, who would dare say that appraiser Lin doesn't live up to his reputation? Zukin obviously had a plan in mind. He owed Lin Jin a favor and knew that Lin Jin would be taking the exam today after his qualifications as a beast appraiser were revoked. Zukin planned to use this method to boost Lin Jin's reputation. It had to be said that Zhu Kan's move was extremely effective. Along the way, they attracted quite a few onlookers. After all, it was a plaque personally delivered by the Zhu family, so it was hard not to attract attention. Now, who would dare say that Lin Jin didn't live up to his reputation? So many facts had proven that Lin Jin was capable, and the Zhu family's gift of a plaque only served to solidify Lin Jin's capabilities. What day is it today? Why is it so lively? 2 people squeezed through the crowd and walked over. On the other side, Wang Ji saw one of the two and immediately went up to greet him. Even Zhu Tianhong, the patriarch of the Zhu family, did not behave in such a manner. It was obvious that the person who had come this time was no ordinary person. "Master Gu, why are you here?" Wang Ji was indeed surprised. This person was none other than the master painter, Gu Mingzhong. The old man who came with Gu Mingzhong was dressed in plain clothes, but many people recognized him. "It's Liao Gu, Master Chef Liao. I heard that Symphony Restaurant lied to their customers and Master Chef Liao left in anger. Ever since that day, Symphony Restaurant's business has been declining day by day. I know. I also heard that this incident has something to do with appraiser Lin. Wang Ji could ignore Liao Gu, but he didn't dare to slight Gu Mingzhong. After all, this master painter's circle of friends was terrifying. Just a single word from him could affect his future. At the sight of Wang Ji, Gu Mingzhong scoffed. I'm here to support a friend of mine. I heard that he was treated unfairly, so I'm here to seek justice for him. Wang Ji was even more flustered now. He mused, Master Gu wouldn't be here for Lin Jin too, would he? That's highly possible. He was also aware of what had happened in the Symphony Restaurant. Thus, his expression turned even uglier. Master Gu, what a coincidence! Tan Sun came over and greeted Gu Mingzhong with a smile. Upon seeing Tan Sun, Gu Mingzhong saluted him with a smile. So it's Appraiser Tan. I've long heard that Appraiser Tan has come to Maple City. I wanted to pay you a visit, but I never got the chance. Master Gu, you must be joking. I should be the one paying you a visit. I couldn't even meet you in Jade Dragon City even if I wanted to. Even when I wanted to ask for a painting from you, you rejected me with all sorts of excuses. In the end, I had to go through other channels to obtain a genuine piece of your work. Tan Sun was visibly angry. No matter what, he was a rank 3 beast appraiser. When it came to putting on airs, he was the best at it. However, compared to Gu Mingzhong, he paled in comparison. Gu Mingzhong was the one who truly knew how to put on airs. Both of them were old acquaintances, so they would argue whenever they met. Sure enough, Gu Mingzhong didn't mince words. Appraiser Tan, you can't blame me for this. We agreed that if you help me think of a blood-pact method for the ink monster, I'll give you 10 of them, much less one. You were the one who said 10 days would be enough, but when the 10 days were up, you asked for a month, and then 3 months. I can't wait any longer. Tan Sun blushed. About that, it's my fault. Sigh, it's hard to form a blood pact with an ink monster. This has been the case since ancient times. But it's not like I've never thought of a way that can't be realized is just a fantasy. Look at the things you've asked me to collect. What starling grass? What divine ink wood? Haven't you seen any of them before? Where am I supposed to find them? Isn't this a scam? But Appraiser Tan, you've done your best. Out of gratitude, I'll draw one for you when I return to the royal city. At the mention of the ink monster, Gu Mingzhong was delighted. Over the past few days, he had been diligently practicing the ink monster's sword technique and could now use it a little. He had decided that once he perfected the ink monster's sword technique, he would travel the world alone with his sword and leave behind a legend for future generations. He would be like an ancient sword immortal. Just the thought of it was enough to excite him. Perhaps to show off, Gu Mingzhong flicked his sleeve and a blob of ink floated into the air. It swirled around his palm in a mystical manner. When Tan Sun saw it, he was stunned. This is an ink monster? Master Gu, when did you form a blood pact with it? Tan Sun was shocked. Back when Gu Mingzhong obtained the ink monster, he immediately came to Tan Sun to ask for a blood pact method. However, forming a blood pact with an ink monster had always been a difficult task. Even though Tan Sun was a rank 3 beast appraiser, the blood pact method he came up with was currently unachievable. For example, he needed starling grass and divine ink wood to refine a blood pact pill. However, these 2 ingredients had been extinct for many years. Even if they were available, it would be difficult to exchange for them. He had thought of other methods, but none of them were suitable. Hence, he didn't manage to do it back then. Because of this, he had been avoiding Gu Mingzhong for a period of time because he couldn't think of a better blood pact method. To think that after not seeing each other for a few months, Gu Mingzhong had successfully formed a blood pact with the ink monster. Tan Sun knew that Gu Mingzhong would never have thought of a way to form a blood pact with the ink monster. He must have received guidance from an expert. Now, he really wanted to know what method Gu Mingzhong used to form a blood pact with this rank 3 ink monster. It's only been a few days. Gu Mingzhong was pleased with the subtle effect of showing off. All the beast appraisers present were staring at his ink monster with widened eyes. Then which master beast appraiser gave you pointers? Tan Sun continued asking. Master beast appraiser? That's not it. He's just an average rank 1 beast appraiser in Maple City. Gu Mingzhong's words stunned the crowd. Rank 1 beast appraiser? There were only 2 rank 1 beast appraisers in Maple City. One of them was Gao Jiang and the other was Lin Jin. Coincidentally, Gao Jiang had just arrived. He had signed up for the advancement exam and was stunned to see so many people here. Then, he quickly bowed to Tan Sun and the others. Meanwhile, Master Gu didn't even spare Gao Jiang a glance. With that, anyone who wasn't an idiot would know who it was. Could it be, it's appraiser Lin Jin again? Chapter 78. Tan Lin came over and bowed at Gu Mingzhong. Could the rank 1 beast appraiser that Master Gu mentioned be Lin Jin? She asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Tan Sun's eyes lit up as he turned to Gu Mingzhong. Gu Mingzhong didn't try to hide it. He had come here specifically to back Lin Jin up. Liao Gu had told him about Lin Jin's hall being shut down. He couldn't take it anymore, so he came here. That's right, it's Lin Jin. I met him a few days ago, and only then did I find out that there's such a talented young man in Maple City. He's still young, but he already has the demeanor of a master in beast appraising. Upon hearing Gu Mingzhong's words, the crowd was finally convinced. It really is appraiser Lin. Amazing. Even appraiser Tan Sun couldn't figure out how to form a blood contract with a pet beast, but he managed to do so. Is he still at the level of a rank 1 beast appraiser? We're in for a good show. The Beast Appraisal Association was able to belittle appraiser Lin previously. Now let's see how they're going to clean up this mess. Among them, Zhang He was the most terrified. In the past, he was the one who badmouthed Lin Jin the most. Now that Lin Jin was getting more and more famous, he was afraid. Wang Ji felt as uncomfortable as if he had swallowed a fly. I didn't expect our association's appraiser Lin to be so talented. As chief, I haven't been paying enough attention to him. From now on, I'll have to pay more attention to him. On the other hand, there are some people in our association who aren't skilled and have despicable characters. They can't stand others doing well and would spread rumors behind their back. I, Wang Ji, will definitely get to the bottom of this matter and punish this malevolent group. Wang Ji sneered at Lin Jin and said, I didn't expect our association's appraiser Lin to be so talented. Having said that, he shot Zhang He a sideways glance. Damn it, why are you looking at me? Zhang He had already cursed all 8 generations of Wang Ji's ancestors in his mind. Needless to say, Wang Ji was planning to pin all the blame on him. One could imagine how tragic his fate would be. He might even be kicked out of the association. Moreover, Zhang He still had no idea what was going on. He used to be an apprentice under Lin Jin's name, and the man was indeed average back then. Could Lin Jin have been hiding his abilities back then? That was a possibility. Zhang He was filled with regret. If he had known Lin Jin was this amazing, he would never have switched allegiance. It's time to clean up some of the evil practices in the association. Moreover, I've also heard that these rumors and slanders are all related to Zhang He. This matter has a very bad influence, so I suggest that he be severely punished, Nan Gongxian said at this moment. He knew very well that even Master Gu had stepped in today's matter. If the matter was not resolved, Tan Sun and Tan Lin would definitely not let the matter rest. Since that was the case, he could only cut off his wrists. After Wang Ji was enlightened by this sentence, he immediately understood the stakes. His face darkened as he said, Elder Nangong is right. Zhang He, you are spreading lies and maliciously slandering others. In the name of the President, I revoke your qualifications as an apprentice. From today onwards, you are no longer a member of the association. Zhang He's body swayed and he almost fainted. In order to become a beast appraiser, he had worked hard for many years. Just when he finally made some progress, Wang Ji and the others mercilessly chased him away. This was equivalent to destroying his future as a beast appraiser. At once, a surge of hatred surged within him. He wasn't a saint. If he were an honest man, he wouldn't have betrayed Lin Jin back then and made a false accusation against him. If he could make a false accusation against Lin Jin back then, he could do the same to Wang Ji today. Now that he had been slandered and even lost his qualifications as an apprentice, Zhang He decided to throw caution to the wind. Wang Ji, you're getting rid of me after I've outlived my usefulness. I, Zhang He, have been your dog and done so many shameful things for you, yet you don't care about my feelings at all, turning against me just like that. Fine, since you want to chase me away and ruin my future, I, Zhang He, won't let you off easy. If we're talking about dealing with Lin Jin, you're the mastermind. For the sake of Jia Qian, you wanted to chase Lin Jin away so you could recommend her to take over. Then, you colluded with Nan Gongxian. Before he could finish, Zhang He was pounced on by a pet beast and fainted. Needless to say, this was Wang Ji's pet beast. For Zhang He to say those things in public, it was like roasting Wang Ji with fire. How could Wang Ji hold himself back? This Zhang He is truly vicious and despicable. Not only did he slander appraiser Lin, he even tried to frame Elder Nangong and I. As the chief of Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association, I'm truly ashamed of myself for not disciplining my subordinates properly. Wang Ji looked indignant as he reflected on himself. But now, no matter how extravagant his words were, everyone had their own balance in their hearts. Wang Ji might not be any cleaner than Zhang He. However, he was the chief of the association after all. His identity and status were undeniable. His negligence towards his subordinates might have damaged his reputation, but it was far from enough to shake Wang Ji's position. Tan Sun and Tan Lin were aware of this. Tan Sun, in particular, was rather impressed by Wang Ji. At the very least, the man was quite accomplished in beast appraising. Just take the batch of mutated pet beasts from the City Lord Manor for example. Wang Ji's evaluation report was excellent. Hence, Tan Sun didn't want to pursue the matter any further. He obviously didn't want to stir up a commotion on his trip here. He wanted this matter to end here. Chief Wang, as the chief of the association, you have indeed made a mistake in this matter. In the future, you must understand your subordinates better. You can't blindly focus on your skills. Also, you have to be fair. Tan Sun said. While he sounded like he was reprimanding Wang Ji, he was actually telling everyone that this matter was over. How could Wang Ji not understand that appraiser Tan Sun was giving him a way out of this embarrassing situation? Wang Ji immediately went with the flow and said, Elder Tan, you're right. I will definitely reflect on my mistakes and never do it again. He let out a long sigh, thinking that he had finally passed this hurdle. It was too dangerous. Tan Lin frowned, but since her father had spoken, she couldn't say anything else. Wang Ji quickly said, Quickly inform appraiser Lin that the misunderstanding has been cleared up. Appraiser Tan Lin has already reinstated his qualifications as an official beast appraiser. He doesn't need to take the exam anymore. Right? Appraiser Lin's consultation hall needs to be reopened as well. Have the logistics department's manager pick out a bigger consultation hall for appraiser Lin. Admittedly, Wang Ji's remedy was timely. At least, Tan Sun nodded after hearing this. Tan Lin sighed and decided not to pursue the matter any further. Tan Sun walked over to Gu Mingzhong and said with a smile, Master Gu, it's been a while. When Lin Jin comes out later, let's have a drink together. Gu Mingzhong nodded. He planned to introduce Lin Jin to Tan Sun as a way to help Lin Jin expand his network. Right, Master Gu, I bet you didn't expect me to come across an authentic painting of yours during my trip to Maple City. Chapter 79. At this, Gu Mingzhong asked curiously, I've rarely painted in recent years, so it's rare to see them in the market. Where did you get it from, appraiser Tan? Bring it over and let me see if it's a fake. Tan Sun laughed. Someone gave it to me and I've personally appraised it. It's definitely not a fake. Come, bring it over and let Master Gu have a look. The painting Tan Sun was referring to was one of Gu Mingzhong's works he received as a gift from the City Lord Manor. When he saw it, he could tell it was a genuine work at first glance. However, he was afraid of offending Gu Mingzhong, so he had to show it to him. Because he liked this painting so much, Tan Sun had his follower bring it to him wherever he went. Now, his follower stepped forward and handed the painting to him. Wang Ji was stunned when he saw it. He remembered Steward Zhua of the City Lord Manor telling him that one of the gifts he sent over was a genuine work by Master Gu. Back then, Wang Ji didn't think much of it and assumed that Steward Zhua had made a mistake. Could this be the painting he was talking about? Wang Ji shook his head. If it was a painting he ordered his follower to buy, it had to be a fake. How could it possibly be genuine? Wang Ji couldn't believe that appraiser Tan would make a mistake too. On the other side, Tan Sun had already carefully unrolled the painting. The surrounding people immediately crowded around him, wanting to see if it was genuine. When the painting was unfurled, Gu Mingzhong's brows furrowed and his expression darkened. Cooking god Liao Gu, who was standing at the side, also saw the painting and said in surprise, Isn't this? He didn't finish his sentence. Liao Gu wasn't dumb either. There was clearly something fishy going on here. Tan Sun asked, How is it? Is this your real work, Master Gu? Gu Mingzhong nodded without a smile. That's right. It's my own work. Haha, I knew it. How could I make a mistake when it's Master Gu's work? Tan Sun was pleased with himself as he praised the City Lord Manor. As expected of the City Lord Manor, they were truly generous. Tan Sun was about to put it away. Gu Mingzhong reached out to stop him. Master Gu, what are you doing? Tan Sun was stunned. Only then did he notice that Gu Mingzhong's expression was extremely ugly. This puzzled Tan Sun. Appraiser Tan, let me ask you, where did you get this painting from? Gu Mingzhong asked. Although Tan Sun was puzzled, he answered honestly, A few days ago, I went to Maple City's City Lord Manor as a guest. City Lord Bai gave it to me. Humph. Gu Mingzhong snorted coldly. Tan Sun knew that there must be something going on here. Otherwise, Gu Mingzhong wouldn't have fallen out with him. What's going on? Tan Sun asked. Just then, Master Chef Liao Gu said, This painting was clearly given to Lin Jin by Mengzhong a few days ago. How did it end up in the City Lord Manor? And how did it end up in your hands, appraiser Tan? Tan Sun cried out. This was not a trivial matter. Liao Gu's tone was obviously doubtful. Wang Ji's heart also suddenly beat wildly, and an extremely ominous feeling welled up in his heart. He felt that something was going to happen again. Could it be a mistake? This painting was indeed given to him by the City Lord Manor, Tan Sun's follower said. Tan Sun turned to Gu Mingzhong as well, hoping that he was mistaken. Gu Mingzhong pointed to a corner of the painting and said, This painting has a big perspective. At first glance it looks like a landscape, but in reality there's a small courtyard with 3 people chatting in it. This is the scene where Brother Liao, Lin Jin, and I were chatting. How could I possibly be mistaken? Gu Mingzhong pointed to a corner of the painting. Tan Sun paled. Someone said, Could appraiser Lin have sent it to the City Lord Manor? Gu Mingzhong shook his head. When I went to look for Lin Jin to form a blood pact with the ink monster, he told me that the painting I gave him was lost in the Beast Appraisal Association. Back then, I had no choice but to draw a new one for him. Now that I think about it, this isn't as simple as it seems. Since this concerns the City Lord Manor, let them send someone over. We'll know once we ask them. Someone immediately went to inform the City Lord Manor. No one noticed that Wang Ji's face had turned as red as a pig's liver. Soon, the City Lord Manor's steward, Zhuo Wentong, arrived. Both Tan Sun and Master Gu were important figures, so Zhuo Wentong didn't dare to slight them. Steward Zhuo, what's going on with this painting? Tan Sun recounted the incident. Zhuo Wentong looked at it and recalled the incident. This painting was sent by Chief Wang Ji. Didn't we bring a batch of mutant eggs to the association for appraisal? Before we left, Chief Wang sent this painting as one of the gifts. After Zhuo Wentong said this, everyone turned to look at Wang Ji. By now, Wang Ji already knew what was going on. No matter how thick his skin was or how firm his mental state was, he still couldn't help but break out in cold sweat at this moment, and he was flustered. Because this wasn't just a matter of a painting, it was also related to the Muyuan eggs. Only he knew that Lin Jin was the one who appraised the mutant eggs that night, not him. He couldn't come up with any more excuses. He knew that after Lin Jin appraised the eggs, he must have left the painting in the appraisal hall and it was sent to the City Lord Manor as a gift. But how was he supposed to explain this? If he did, he would expose himself. He had no choice but to say it or others would assume he stole the painting. The crowd wasn't dumb either. Seeing how Wang Ji was stuttering, they knew there was more to this than meets the eye. Even Nan Gongxian's heart was thumping wildly. Then, he calmly took 2 steps to the side, distancing himself from Wang Ji. He had a feeling that something big was about to happen today. Just then, the bell in the association rang. The exam was over. Soon, the candidates filed out. With his sharp eyes, Zhu Qin immediately spotted Lin Jin, who was walking out with the crowd. "Appraiser Lin, over here." Zhu Qin called out. Lin Jin noticed him too and walked over. However, he was stunned when he got closer. Why was there such a grand lineup? Zhu Kan, Master Chef Liao, and Master Gu were here too. Having just finished his exam, Lin Jin was dumbfounded by this grand scene. When Tan Lin saw Lin Jin, guilt welled up within her. She wanted to apologize but found it inappropriate to do so. Tan Sun knew his daughter better than anyone else, so he stepped forward and bowed. This had nothing to do with Lin Jin's identity as a beast appraiser. It was purely a gesture of gratitude from a father to his daughter's benefactor. "Appraiser Lin, your fire spirit finger that broke the celestial pivot was truly amazing. I thank you on behalf of my daughter." At Tan Sun's words, Lin Jin understood what was going on. "She's your daughter?" Lin Jin asked, pointing at Tan Lin. Tan Sun nodded. Lin Jin's next words made Tan Sun feel ashamed. "Although it was a misunderstanding that night, I was helping her out of goodwill. It's one thing for her to be ungrateful, but not only did she gang up with Wang Ji to plot against me, she even tried to blacklist me. You have to do something about this." He looked aggrieved. Tan Sun blushed. To think he was lectured by a junior. But since he was in the wrong, he nodded. "Yes. My daughter has been spoiled since she was young, and she's been too willful. She made a rash decision before figuring out the truth. I've already reprimanded her." Seeing Tan Sun admit his mistake so nicely, Lin Jin didn't say anything else. He nodded and said, "That's good. But it's enough to teach her a lesson. Don't be too harsh with your words. Girls are thin-skinned, and I'm afraid she won't be able to take it." This scene left the bystanders dumbfounded. Even Master Gu couldn't take it anymore. "Lin Jin, this is Elder Tan, a rank 3 beast appraiser from your Beast Appraisal Association headquarters." Lin Jin was startled. When Tan Sun had one hand behind his back, Lin Jin didn't notice the beast emblem on his sleeve. Now that he turned around, he realized the man was indeed wearing a rank 3 beast emblem sleeve band. "You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.